There is another big weather issue for which you have information for us.
Well, thanks a lot, Chip and Ron. We're talking about the emotions and expectations. I'd like to talk about the elements. There's a very intense low-pressure system off the coast of southern Maine. Now, what happens in a low-pressure system is that it stirs the air counterclockwise. In this case, it is powering strong winds from Canada right down the Hudson River, right into New York City, specifically right through the South Bronx. You may not feel it on the field, but any ball hit up in the air is to get powered through these wind tunnels in left center and in right center. We've measured winds this afternoon and tonight between 28 and 41 miles per hour. The biggest gust was 44. Gentlemen, we could see some strange things tonight. Perhaps a tape measure from A-Rod, an infield fly rule that ends up in the stands, or who knows, maybe we'll see a Nick Puto home run trot. Chip?
Well, this is right. The wind must be really blowing. This is the first time I've seen Craig Sager's hair move.
Yeah, I tell you what, Jim Cantori's got to worry about his job. Great report, Craig, as we check out the Minnesota Twins starting lineup for Game 1 tonight. Denard Span leads off. Orlando Cabrera, so emotional after the Twins win last night. Then it's Mauer, Kadire, and Kubel in the middle of the order. Delman Young will be the Twins left fielder. Brandon Harris gets the start at designated hitter, with Matt Tolbert and Nick Punto hitting 8th and 9th for Minnesota. Huge game, quite obviously, for CC Sabathia, starting in the playoffs for the first time as a Yankee. And Denard Span takes a called strike from umpire Tim Cheetah.
Well, this is CC's sixth postseason start. You see those 19 wins. He got better as the season went along. Led the majors, 11-2 record after the All-Star break with a 2.74 ERA. Well, the key for CC Sabathia, when you talk about a scouting report for him, is that he's got to command both sides of the plate, both the left-handers and right-handers, stay in the moment. In the past, in the postseason, he's tried to worry about the results than staying within the batter, and watch out what you wish for. When you sign with the Yankees, you wish to pitch in big games. Well, he's got big games now.
And he's got 2 quick strikes on Denard Span, the Twins' leadoff man who finished the regular season with the 9th best batting average in the American League. You hear the Yankee fans with their roll call that is customary in this ballpark before the game, and this place is up for grabs. They are ready to see the Yankees begin a postseason roll tonight.
Well, those are the bleacher creatures in right field, and no one has more fun than those crowd out there.
Span works the count even now, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, that's what we talked about, pitching in there. CC's got to have some demons, though. His last 3 postseason starts, his ERA is 10.93, 14-inning pitch, 23 hits. So he's going to have to fight those off to be successful here against the Twins.
And from 0-2 now to 3-2 for Denard Span, who hit lefties very well this year for Minnesota. Then it's Orlando Cabrera and Joe Mauer in the top of the first. It bears repeating, the Twins got to New York 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning after all the drama and emotion of the game last night against the Tigers. Ron Gardenhire not at all concerned about that. He said when the club gets between the white lines, they'll be ready to roll. And that's a shot in the left center field, a base hit for Denard Span, and he's on his way to second base, and he will make it standing up. What an at-bat to start the game for Denard Span.
Well, Denard Span was a first-round pick for this Minnesota Twins, and no other organization in baseball fosters their young draftees better than the Minnesota Twins. And on this 3-2 fastball, trying to get away, but CC did not want to walk him. Got a good part of that plate. Nice hitting by Span, going the other way with that fastball.
So a leadoff double for Span brings up Orlando Cabrera. He ended the year with a 16-game hitting streak for Minnesota. And if you recall, when the Twins had so much trouble beating the Yankees in this ballpark in regular season play, it was in situations like this where Ron Gardenhire's club fell way short.
I saw him before the game. I said, Orlando, you look tired. He goes, I am so tired. Is he going to be able to make it tonight? I said, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
He is that kind of player.
Yeah,
when he came over, they thought they could get back in the race. When he joined the club, he made them believe that they could get back in the race.
And he should really help the Twins, who were 4 for 38 with runners in scoring position in that May series here in New York. First chance for them tonight against Sabathia in the first inning.
Think about CC Sabathia. He takes a long time to deliver that ball to the plate. Span has been trying to measure him at second base. 23 steals for Denard.
And was there a bigger hit in the game last night than Orlando Cabrera's two-run homer?
Well, off Zach Minor, a little hanging slider in the middle of the plate. And another big hit for Cabrera. Has been in the postseason now 5 out of the last 6 years.
That gave Minnesota one of many leads in that ball game. And the Metrodome magic was working in abundance. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the first strikeout for Sabathia on the night. And it brings up Joe Mauer.
Well, Sabathia right now, early in this game, has got a very good slider down and in. Used it here against Cabrera. Very unusual swing from Cabrera. A lot of times, hitters, Chip, will show you how good a pitcher's stuff is, and that is not a good swing by Orlando.
So that brings up AL batting champ Joe Mauer, 365, his final season number. And as you heard Craig say, with the winds gusting way out toward right, as Billy Williams, the Hall of Famer for the Cubs, said, hit it high and watch it fly, if he can do that here. And that one missed by Posada, and Span on his way to third.
That looked like a cross up there, didn't it?
So now a fly ball could put Minnesota in front.
Breaking ball. He was really looking for a fastball, CC Sabathia, and they called that a pass ball on Jorge. That slider just did not break and fool Jorge Posada.
So the Twins would love to take this Yankee Stadium crowd out of consideration early with a first inning run. And ball 2 off the plate to Joe Mauer.
Well, first break here goes to the Minnesota Twins. And Ron Gardenhire's club.
8th pass ball by Posada this year. And a live fastball is called a strike. 2-1 your count. Yankees, as you know, head-to-head series with the Twins in regular season, swept Minnesota. They won all 7 games. But 3 straight walk-off wins for New York against Minnesota helped skew things in Joe Girardi's club's favor. There was 1 blowout game, but Ronnie, the Twins played them tough in 6 of those 7 ball games this year.
3 of those were walk-off wins. We saw a couple of them here. The thing they're missing, though, Justin Morneau participated in those games, and he was outstanding.
What a pitch. Runner at third, 2 outs.
Well, the pitch sequence of Joe Mauer, outstanding, except for the first pitch that fooled Posada. Kind of a slider that didn't break, went back to the backstop, then just missed, got to 2-0. But after that, threw this one down the middle, beat Mauer. Then 2 sliders, 1 on the outside corner, and then deposited 1 in the dirt that Mauer swung over. Nice pitching.
Here's Michael Kadire. Kadire hit lefties very well this year with 15 of his 32 home runs.
He's going to have a big series with CC starting in this game. Andy Pettit, of course, is going to get a start. Kadire's play is so important.
It was Kadire who tripled in the 10th inning last night. That was the ball that was missed by Ryan Rayburn in left field in the Metrodome. And he came home on a Matt Tolbert hit in that 10th inning of play. So no Morneau, but Michael Kadire, who has been a huge team leader for the Twins. A leadoff double for Denard Span, a passed ball, then 2 swinging strikeouts for Sabathia. And he's battled back to even it up. July 7th, Michael Kadire enjoyed CC Sabathia's offering.
Well, this is in the Metrodome. Fastball that was supposed to be away. Kadire, who's been probably the most important player for the Twins down the stretch. Justin Morneau was injured, their former MVP. He played first base from then on, and they've gone 17-4.
That one almost got by Posada. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
When CC came to this team, they knew he had an outstanding fastball, 94 plus. Knew he had a great slider. What they did not know is how good his changeup was. That was the changeup right there. 3+ pitches for this guy with the heart of a lion.
Broken bat, fly ball to center is playable, and CC Sabathia allows a leadoff double and nothing else for Minnesota. Johnny Damon in left field bats second. Mark Teixeira hits third over at first. Then it's Alex Rodriguez, the cleanup man. Hideki Matsui, the designated hitter. Jorge Posada, as we told you, behind the plate. with Robinson Cano, Nick Swisher, and Melky Cabrera rounding out this awesome Yankee lineup. Brian Dunsing, 5-2 this year, takes the ball for Minnesota in Game 1 tonight. Base hit on the first pitch for Jeter.
Jeter seemed to get a big hit every single time in Deep 1. As you see the numbers of Brian Dunsing, and remember, he's had 15 relief appearances. He has been 5-1 as a starter. And the thing that Ron Gardenhire, when he put a scouting report, he pitches backwards. He'll throw a lot of first pitch breaking balls. Behind the count, he'll throw a breaking ball. Location versus speed. Key for him is not to throw too hard. He wants that sinking action. And Ron Gardenhire loves his composure. He's made a lot of big starts down the stretch. It's almost like pitching in the playoffs.
So Johnny Damon bats with a .282 average and 24 home runs. And he looks at a pitch way off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Damon matches his career high in home runs with 24 this year, and much, Ron, early in the season was made of the very short porch in right field here at Yankee Stadium. Guys like Johnny Damon, tailor-made to swing the bat in this home ballpark.
Well, all of his home runs this year, done some throws to first, keep Jeter closer, stole 30 bases this year. All 17 home runs he hit in this ballpark were to right field. In fact, all of his home runs, even on the road, 7 more, were on all to right field. He's become really strictly a pull hitter.
Fooled there, 1 ball and 1 strike from Dunsing. 4th among American League rookies with a 3.64 ERA. And a 3rd-round draft pick back in 2005 by the Minnesota club. And fisted out of play by Johnny Damon.
Well, you can see the hit chart for Johnny Damon. 33 hits to left field, 19 to center. Of course, most of his hits to right field. And remember, those 33 hits to left field, you say to yourself, that's not such a bad ratio, but most of those hits are singles to left. Doesn't really drive the ball to left field.
1-2 your count. Jeter at first. And he takes a shot toward left and keeps the at-bat alive. This Yankee club, 244 home runs. Amazing.
You know what's unusual about this Yankee club and why they're so good is that they don't strike out a lot for a team that hits all those home runs. They can steal some bases.
Short lead at first by Jeter. And just off the plate, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, those pitch tracks. You can see that ball outside. Good call there.
Tim Sheeta, our home plate umpire tonight. And Damon still alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And this American League Division Series coverage on TBS is brought to you in HD by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Popped up. Nick Punto drifting back at second. Wynn plays a few tricks with that ball, but he hangs with it. And Johnny Damon pops out for out number 1. It brings up Mark Teixeira. How big's the out for Dunsing to finally get Johnny Damon retired.
Well, being a rookie and pitching in this game, which is unusual in its most part, just get in that first out, get some of those butterflies. You're definitely going to have them. Your heartbeat's going to be pounding. But one out starts to get you on your way.
Yeah, he barely had a time to break a sweat. Jeter hit the first pitch of the game into left field.
Just no let up in this lineup.
So Teixeira, switch hitting first baseman, batting right-handed here, looks at a called strike. Teixeira and Carlos Pena shared the home run crown in the American League this year. Each of them hit 39. And Mark finished 3 RBIs ahead of Jason Bay of the Red Sox with 122 to pace the American League. And it goes without saying, another huge pickup for this Yankee ball club, not just with his bat, but his leadership abilities. And they've raved from day one, Ron, about the way he plays defensively at first.
Well, not only in picking up the ground balls, but picking up the errant throws that come from the infielders. He saved many errors this season. He's also one of those guys, he's not a fast runner, but he's a good base runner. He's a guy that hustles all the time, attention to detail, all those little things that sometimes you see in superstars are lacking. Certainly don't lack in the National League to Mr. Pujols, to share the same kind of player in this league.
And he hasn't skipped a beat since coming over from the Angels as a free agent. I mean, New York hasn't seemed to have intimidated Mark Teixeira at all. He's had a marvelous year in pinstripes. In fact, we talked to Mark about that earlier this season, and it's a very logical question to ask. How do you like New York? You've played here. You know how tough this place can be.
It can be tough, but I think the great thing about Mark is that when we talk about attention to detail, he really just separates where he's playing from how he plays the game. And he just concentrates on the things he does. He doesn't worry about what people are writing about him, what they're saying about him. Just concentrates on his talent and getting the most out of his talent.
And there's a lot of it there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. As Dunsing keeps Jeter honest over at first, but Teixeira said, my experience with the Yankees so far has been everything I expected it to be and more.
Well, there's been a couple of things. One, he's come over with CC Sabathia and Burnett. That's 3 big free agents coming at the same time. He also has number 13 hitting behind him, which helps.
And he was missed in April when Mark got off to one of his patented slow starts. Jeter runs. Ground ball hit hard to short. Only 1 play for Cabrera. He'll make it to first. And Joe Girardi stays out of the double play by sending Derek Jeter 2 outs. And the Yankees have their first runner in scoring position tonight.
You know what's interesting about people always talk about speed as using it to steal bases or to take the extra base. Sometimes it's simple going on a pitch there, getting to second base, giving Alex Rodriguez a chance to drive in a run.
And this is the spot for Alex Rodriguez where he truly has struggled with New York. No hits in his last 27 at-bats with men on base. 0 for his last 18 with runners in scoring position. And this place will erupt if he can drive home Jeter. No balls and a strike. A-Rod, of course, missed the first month of the season. Hip surgery. Made a dramatic return May 8th against the Orioles. And hasn't stopped hitting since. 30 homers, 100 RBIs.
Well, they had a tough loss the night before. We're struggling with the Yankees. He came back, and on his first pitch, his Yankee teammates knew that they had some magic back in that dugout.
It's not supposed to be that easy, is it?
It's easy for him.
Man. He had a huge final weekend for the Yankees. Nice round numbers. As he pops this ball up left side, will the wind blow that back into play? Heading over toward third is Tolbert. He'll have no chance. It's still 0-2.
I think, though, this year, and we won't see what the numbers will be. We can't be pressing to know what's going to happen. But I think that this year is the first year that he does not feel as though he has the burden all by himself. He is surrounded by tremendous hitters in this lineup. And it's almost, they've had the attitude this entire season with all the walk-off wins and everything, that if I don't get the job done, the guy behind me is going to get the job done.
No balls, 2 strikes. And popped out of play, foul by Alex Rodriguez. No one can speak for Alex but Alex, but certainly it seemed, watching from afar, that press conference in Tampa during spring training, it's as if the weight of the world was lifted from his shoulders with the steroids and the steroid accusations, all the articles, the books that have been written. You haven't seen Alex do the interviews. You haven't seen the magazine spread since then.
I think even more symbolic that his teammates were there for that press conference, and I think that meant a lot to Alex.
0-2. Driven to right field, pretty well hit. Kubel, though, is going to make the play as that ball died in the wind to the right field corner, and the Yankees fail to score. We head to the second inning. John Hancock.
Boy, look at those numbers. Zach Greinke, what a year he had with that Kansas City team that struggled. 16 wins. Halladay had 17 wins. Hernandez, I think, is probably going to be the main guy to go up against Greinke for that Cy Young.
King Felix for Seattle had a spectacular year in the Pacific Northwest, as did Don Wakamatsu, their manager. And Jason Kubel leads off the second for Minnesota. He hit 300 this year, drove in 100 runs, also hit 28 home runs this year.
Well, we're not sure who's going to win what, but I'll tell you one thing. Ron Gardenhire won the Manager of the Year last night. I mean, just amazing job he did down the stretch.
Twins with their 5th division title since 2002 under Ron Gardenhire. And a check swing takes care of Kubel. That's the 3rd strikeout for CC Sabathia. How would you evaluate the defense behind him tonight?
Well, the defense, the problem with the Yankees, the only small problem, Johnny Damon, Cabrera, and Swisher, their corner outfielders are a little older, big ground to cover. Rodriguez, Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira. Look at all those gold gloves in that infield. Cano much better this season, and Jorge Posada, 5-time All-Star, and has started 78 of the last 79 postseason games for these New York Yankees.
And will not start in the game that will be started by A.J. Burnett. Here's Delman Young. And he jumps at the first pitch and launches that into the seats, foul for a quick first strike. Young with 12 homers, 60 RBIs, and a .284 batting average on the year. And a red-hot final 3 weeks for Minnesota. And you can say that, Ron, just about everybody in this lineup for Minnesota. Winners of 17 of 21 down the stretch in regular season play.
You know, when you have some teams that lose one of their big instruments, one of their M&M kids over there in Morneau, former MVP, a lot of teams would wilt under that loss, but not these Minnesota Twins. They really got it going, got guys playing every day. Young wasn't playing every day. He was inserted into left field.
Popped up back toward us and out of reach. And Young now behind, a ball and 2 strikes.
It allowed Jason Kubel to go to right field to play every day. But it really has been, I think, the leadership of not only Maurer behind the plate, but Kadire at first base that has really, and Cabrera, the shortstop, that's really pushed this team forward.
Out of play foul by Delman Young, who the Twins acquired in that big trade with the Tampa Bay Rays that really worked out very well for Joe Maddon's club last year, with Bartlett and Garza being part of the American League Championship run that Tampa Bay put together. But this year it's Young who's enjoyed the hot start and the hot finish and is the man in postseason.
Well, Bartlett had a career year this year. Maybe Garza might have moved one step backwards, or half a step backwards maybe, but so did that whole Tampa Bay team.
CeCe's on his game so far, folks. That's 4 strikeouts in this game. 2 up and 2 down. Brendan Harris will bat as MLB Postseason en Espanol. Live MLB Postseason Spanish language feed is available via SAP. Brendan Harris getting the start at the DH spot for the Twins tonight. He hit 6 homers and drove in 37 men. And jumps ahead, 1 ball, no strikes.
You see this pitch count here in the second inning of 32. You say, well, that might be a little bit high, but not really when you have 4 punch-outs, all on a slider. Very defensive swings so far for the Minnesota Twins.
This is a big, strong guy. You don't worry about pitch count with Sabathia, do you?
I don't. I mean, he could have pitched in generations before.
And Brendan Harris out of Queensbury, New York. A former draft pick of the Chicago Cubs. He's played in Chicago, Montreal, Washington, with the Reds, Tampa Bay, and now with the Twins. At a bouncing ball up the middle. A base hit with 2 outs. So Harris aboard for Matt Tolbert, the Twins' third baseman, and Sabathia to the stretch for the second time.
Well, Ron Gardenhire with the pick to click. Last night, Jose Morales was the DH. He decided to go with the right-handed hitting Harris tonight and gets a base hit.
.232 the average for Tolbert. 2 homers, 19 driven in. You see the work he's done against left-handed pitching. But this Minnesota ball club, a club that Ron Gardenhire says takes great pride in being called a group of baseball players. Well, part of that group aren't the guys that have the big names that were so instrumental in their 12-inning win last night.
I mean, for Tolbert to get his 19th RBI, Casilla the 17th, it wasn't the big names that drove in the runs in that 12th inning victory. What a game that was, by the way.
It was a pleasure to be a part of, no question.
And really have to give some accolades to Jim Leyland's squad, who really played so well. Leyland's team was very gutsy. They had the lead. Rodney stayed in there, 2+ innings.
It may sound silly, but for me, there were 2 winners, but 1 victor.
Yeah.
In Minnesota last night, 2-strike pitch to Matt Tolbert, scoreless game. A-Rod to his left, nice play. Minnesota retired in the 2nd inning. Coverage of this game and every MLB postseason game. Here in the Yankee second, Hideki Matsui, Jorge Posada, and Robinson Cano are coming up against left-hander Brian Dunsing, a former U.S. Olympian and a product of the University of Nebraska. And he's ahead of Hideki Matsui. Matsui has always hit left-handers very well. 13 home runs this year against left-handed pitching. But not a lot of at-bats with that damage. Pretty remarkable for Matsui.
I mean, 13 home runs and only 131 at-bats this season. He's learned to really adjust his stroke his batting stroke for this ballpark. Really has. Just tries to stay in there a little longer, especially against lefties, and looks in to pull. Last year only had 1 home run in 108 at bats, so really struggled.
2 balls, 2 strikes. There was a stretch during interleague play this year where the Yankees had 10, 12 games or thereabouts against National League teams on the road. And Joe Girardi was very concerned about how rusty Matsui would get because he didn't want to risk him injuring those balky knees running the outfield. That may have really helped have Matsui stay healthy this year. As a chopper hits slowly out towards second, Punta's got it. And there's your first out in the Yankees' second. Back to the weatherman, Craig Sager.
Well, Chip, we were talking about the elements. The wind has died down a little bit from earlier this afternoon. How do I know that? Well, I climbed atop the old Yankee Stadium and pulled down the weather vanes. This used to be on the foul pole. Last year, 160 home runs hit in the final year of the old Yankee Stadium, 237 here in the new Yankee Stadium. And by the way, you can make a bid on stuff like this, or you can do like I did, just climb up there and take your own. Chip?
Yeah, but is that going to fit in the overhead when we head back to Minneapolis for Game 3?
And by the way, I see security moving towards Craig as we speak.
Either for that or for that jacket. I'm not sure which. Here's Posada. And a quick strike to Jorge Posada. 0-1 the count.
It's pretty funny. He's talking to Ron Gardenhire today and Rick Anderson about Densing. They were saying that only time he gets out of sorts when he throws 93, 94 miles an hour. They'll like him around 89 or 90, really putting a little sink on the fastball and really trying to get ground balls, pitching inside, outside, using his good breaking ball. It's more of a kind of crafty left-hander than he is a guy who's going to blow anyone away like CeCe.
He's 6 years older than Rick Porcello of the Tigers last night, but you know the Minnesota Twins would love this rookie starter to take the game as deeply as Porcello did in the Metrodome in Game 163. Fly ball, straightaway right field, but playable. And Craig's right, the wind has died down. It's not carrying particularly well out there right now. 2 up, 2 down.
What's interesting about the Minnesota Twins, as you see the wind blowing, is that they just don't walk anybody, and that's the key for them. But also they play great defense. And their defense in the outfield is outstanding. Young, Span, and Kubel. The infield, especially the middle defense, got much better with Cabrera with those 2 gold gloves. Toba Punto, and of course Kadire. And behind the plate, maybe the 2009 MVP and Joe Mauer.
That's a pretty good combination. You don't walk people, you don't make many errors, and you don't give up a lot of earned runs. That'll make any pitching staff better. And the Twins this year have allowed only 39 unearned runs this year. All part of the way the Twins expect their players to play baseball. Swing and a miss to Robinson Cano.
Yeah, they do. I think they don't have a manual out, but they really do have a Twins kind of way of playing. And like you said, as far as pitching, see Cano's numbers. As far as pitching is concerned, they don't walk people. They don't beat themselves. And that's really what you have to watch out for here in this ballpark that has played small so far this year.
One ball, 2 strikes.
This young man here, I think, has one of the prettiest swings in baseball. I think at some point, when everything comes together, and he had an outstanding year, he's a future batting champion, I believe. He's improved his defense. Last year he tended to get, well, maybe lazy would be the word, out there at second base and giving Girardi fits, but this year he's come in and just totally been different. He's worked hard on defense. He's very talented, great arm, but it's his offense that you really rave about. Just a beautiful swing.
Struck him out looking on the inside corner. And Robinson Cano can't believe it. Brian Dunsing has his first strikeout in tonight's game. And our scoreless duel moves along to inning number 3 in Game 1 in New York. By Blackberry, the Minnesota Twins, the champions of the American League Central, meeting the AL Eastern champion Yankees tonight in Game 1 here at Yankee Stadium. Getting the sense, Ron, these two clubs are kind of circling around the ring, just getting a sense of what each can or can't do in the first couple of innings so far.
It's a little bit of a rope-a-dope here, right, in the first couple of innings. And it kind of makes sense. You know, you got a team that arrived at 4 o'clock in the morning last night, the Twins. The Yankees, who really have wrapped up their division early, trying to get back into it here. No, and this is a huge game for them.
Nick Punto leads things off for Minnesota. Joe Girardi and his coaching staff watched the proceedings last night in their entirety in a conference room here at the ballpark. And what was so funny, he said, was one team would take the lead. You'd think, all right, let's get the reports prepared for that club.
Charts, right?
Then a tie, and the other team would leapfrog in front. It made the night very long for the Yankees, too, even though they were sitting and lying in wait here in New York.
Girardi's staff has done a nice job this year. It was interesting. He had some comments about when you go to the postseason, one of the things he's trying to remember is that you just want to do what you did all season long. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't change what you've been doing all season long.
And what a thrill it has to be for that man to see his Yankee club win 103 times, pile up a gigantic lead over the Red Sox, and manage the first postseason game in the new home of the Yankees. And that's a little low to Nick Punto. Good eye. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Boy, that looked like a good pitch to me. As you look at the pitch from CC, looks like it caught the corner there. Punto might have got a break.
Ground ball up the middle. Cano can't get it. And instead of strike 3, it's a leadoff hit to Nick Punto. Well, the Detroit Tigers, Ron, said in Game 163 that not many people gave them much of a chance in their matchup at the Metrodome. The same could be said of the Twins in this series. The big-budget Yankees, the small-market Twins, and I thought Ron Gardenhire had a great perspective on that.
Yeah, using the billfold that maybe his players don't make as much as the Yankee players, but when you read this quote that he says we have a bunch of baseball players, well, obviously the Yankees have a bunch of baseball players, but what Gardenhire means by that is that he's got the guys that go after it, gritty kind of players, gutsy kind of players that really kind of bite onto your pant leg and don't let go.
Yeah, Ozzie Guillen, the White Sox manager, calls the Twins the piranhas. With good reason. They just take little bites out of you, and at the end of the game, you look up and say, how did that happen?
Yeah, you're bloodied. That was Scott Alger on the third base coaching box, giving the signs.
And Denard Span, who doubled to start the game, ahead in this third inning count, still scoreless. But it's one thing to spend money. It's another thing to win. And that's why this is such an important season for the New York Yankees. I firmly believe they gave Joe Girardi number 27 for a reason. They've got 26 championships. And with all the cash they spent on Teixeira and A.J. Burnett and CC Sabathia this offseason, as we talked about in our open, the expectations for the Yankees are awfully high.
You know, they've never changed, though. I think one of the keys for them is that any free agent that comes here, and they've spent a lot of money, and that gets bandied about for the most part. But every person that signs here knows what they're buying into, and they're buying into the Yankee way. And as a free agent, you're coming over here, and you are going to play in postseason, and you're going to produce in postseason. The problem is, what if you don't? And they haven't. They've lost 4 consecutive postseason series in the first time in their history, and that's why this has been magnified now. You know, occasionally you look at teams and they're poised to win. The Yankees are poised to win. Watching them play this season, how much energy they had, a lightness to the way they won, you know, the pie in the face and the liveliness of Nick Swisher in right field. He's brought a lot of energy to this team. I think occasionally teams come to a place where they're poised to win it. Doesn't mean they'll always win it. I played on a team in 1988 that was poised to win it and just got murdered by the Los Angeles Dodgers, who had a lot of injuries, but they had a guy named Earl Hershiser who was pretty good that year.
Again to first as Denard Span tries to wait out CC Sabathia. 2 balls and a strike to him. Well, since 2001, the Yankees have spent almost $1.6 billion with a B dollars in payroll and have not won a world championship. Slap toward third. Alex Rodriguez had it played beautifully, and what a turn. What a turn by Robinson Cano at second. 2 out.
Well, it's not only important to have the wherewithal in the hands to be able to make a play, but also the agility to make that perfect throw, get it to Cano, who has one of the best second base arms in baseball. Makes it easy, waits a second there for Cano, makes the perfect throw to him, and of course easy, using that bag as a blocker against Punto, could not get to Cano.
So CC Sabathia has the bases clear now. 2 outs for Orlando Cabrera. Man, he struck out back in inning number 1.
I don't think anyone has ever made the transition from shortstop to third any better than Alex Rodriguez.
I mean, he was in perfect position. Just field the ground ball and start the 5-4-3 double play.
But he has a great feel for the game. You saw that toss, took a little bit off it. They had allowed Cano to get to that bag and just boom, boom, on time, get that ball to first base. You'll see a lot of third basemen rush that throw, and it really handcuffs the second baseman. Not with Rodriguez.
And that's something else Ron Gardenhire alluded to in his pregame press conference with the media before Game 1. For all the flash and dash and the big names and all that comes with being a New York Yankee, he also said they're the most professional team you'll ever see. According to Ron Gardenhire, they do their work. They play the game the right way. They don't get enough credit for that. All the talent in the world isn't going to win you 103 unless you play the game the right way. And the Yankees certainly have done that this year. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And this big guy has had a big part of it. CC Sabathia. He came in with a big contract. He didn't act like he had a big contract. He came in as one of the guys. When he's not pitching, he's on the bench cheering for his teammates. You don't always see that with big contract players.
And look at the late swings these Twins are getting against him here in the 3rd inning. Left side of the Yankee infield thought that was good enough for a strike.
Well, I thought that Tim Cheetah missed the last one that caught the corner, but no, he gets this one right here, just off the corner. Good eye by Cabrera.
Lined into right center field. That'll drop for a hit. Swisher cuts it off. And Orlando Cabrera aboard with 2 men out. So the Twins are getting their hits, but haven't been able to plate that always important first run.
Well, this one just got up in the strike zone a little bit, although it was on the corner. But 2 successive pitches on the outside allowed Cabrera to go out there and drive that pitch to right. Punto and Cabrera, CC thought he had him struck out, come back and get base hits.
Twins with 4 hits in the game are 0 for 5 with men on base. And the situation here very clear. Now you have to face the batting champion Joe Mauer with a man aboard and 2 outs.
You always think of Joe Mauer as a left-handed hitter, that he's the kind of guy that got to watch out for that short porch. But Mauer has power to all fields. So if you try to pitch him just away, he'll take you to the opposite field with power.
We talked earlier about what Alex Rodriguez did for the Yankees against Baltimore. Well, Joe Mauer missed the first month of this season with a sacroiliac joint problem in his back. And like A-Rod, he too homered in his first game back. That came against Kansas City. And Mauer finished the year with 28 home runs despite missing a month too. Two balls and a strike. Where does he like to hit the ball?
Well, everywhere. You want to hit 365, you've got to be able to hit the ball to all fields. 81 hits to left, 54 up the middle, and 50 to right field. Interesting, gets most of his hits the opposite way. 16 of his 28 home runs this season were to the opposite field.
Yeah, that's the real damaging part. He hits the other way with power. And is ahead in the count with Sabathia. 2 balls and a strike. Lined over short. There's another one of those extra base hits. Cabrera tries to cut it off, and he will. Mauer digging towards second will make it without a play, and the Twins have back-to-back 2-out hits. A ringing double by Joe Mauer. Twins have him second and third now for Michael Kadire.
Well, again, a fastball on the outside part. Caught more of the middle and up from CC. Nice hitting by Mauer, who's one of the best in the game. 3 batting titles now on the back of his baseball card. And it's these at-bats for the Twins. If they are going to have a chance to take down the Yankees in this 5-game series, they're going to have to get these 2-out hits. They did not do that in the series here where the Yankees had 3 walk-off wins. They're going to have to do it if they want to stay in the series here.
So Michael Kadire, 10 homers, 29 RBIs in regular season play since September 1. And a blue pit to right field will score the game's first run. First and third for Minnesota on a base hit by Michael Kadire. And the Minnesota Twins, with 3 straight 2-out hits, take an early lead.
Well, sometimes there's no explanation for it. A pitcher makes a good pitch. That's off the strike zone away, off the end of the bat from Kadire. So that's an unlucky break for CC Sabathia. Good hitting, but Kadire just a little bit off the corner. Gets it right off the end of the bat. Doesn't break the bat, but is strong enough, Kadire, to get that ball into the outfield.
So how big is an early lead for Minnesota here in Game 1?
I think it's a good edge. I don't think it's a big edge because they have the rookie pitcher out there. It's only 1 run. CeCe's got to be thinking to himself, okay, just get through this inning. We're facing a young guy, but you know what? As a young pitcher, to have any kind of lead early in the game allows you to say to yourself, you know what? If I make a mistake here or there, I still can get by.
Told you the Twins were 4 for 38 with runners in scoring position against the Yankees here in May. 1 for 4 so far tonight. And that one gets away from Posada, and Mauer in between, hesitates, now comes home and slides in under the tag. That's twice in this game that the battery for the Yankees has let one get away. It costs them another base, and it costs them here in the third a second run.
The Yankee fans are aghast here. First pitch fastball up in the strike zone, and it just gets through Posada. You know, really the only controversy we've heard in the last week. Posada goes after it, then takes his eye off the runner Mauer. As soon as he did, that's when Mauer took advantage of Posada going after the out. Watch, he takes his eye off him there. That's when Mauer decides to go.
And it took him 2 moments to decide, and that nearly cost him being thrown out at the plate. And so already in this third inning, what has been a very big story in New York concerning Game 2 is going to be a very big story in Game 1. The Jorge Posada, Jose Molina catching controversy, if you will, in the next game here in New York. 2 balls and a strike. Molina's going to catch A.J. Burnett. Posada obviously wasn't happy about that. Like any great player, he wants to be in every meaningful game if he can be.
62 total for Sabathia so far, 25 though in this inning. I think you're right, Chip. I think it's very difficult for Posada, who's a very, very proud player, as that ball was fouled off, of course. Very proud player. Well, you know, if you look at Posada, he's tough, he's gritty. You know, even though Jeter's the captain, he's captain-like in the way he plays. But at some point, people in the organization, and maybe A.J. Burnett, starts to feel more comfortable with another catcher.
Sabathia takes care of Jason Kubel, but not before the Twins pick up 4 hits in the 3rd inning. 3 hits with 2 outs, and a big pass ball brings home Joe Mauer after a Michael Kadire single to right. Minnesota scores first. They also score second and lead by 2. Lead heading to the bottom of the 3rd inning with Nick Swisher coming up for the Yankees, then Melky Cabrera, then Derek Jeter at the top of the order. Brian Dunsing, very effective so far after that Jeter hit, has set down 6 Yankees in a row.
This will really be his most important inning, though. You like to judge your starting pitcher in shutdown innings. What does that mean? After his team has scored, what's his ERA in that next inning against that opponent? 1.26 for Mr. Dunsing,
who has faced the Yankees before in regular season play and did not fare real well. He walked 4 men in 2 2/3 innings and gave up 4 earned runs. But an early lead for him, and he's moving the ball in and out, up and down, and has Swisher behind in the count.
You know, in some ways that might have been the best thing for him, not to give up the 4 walks and the runs, but to just be on this mound one time before he had to make a start and pitch in front of these New York fans.
And that appearance was in relief for Dunsing, not in a starting assignment for Minnesota. But starting tonight, and looking good. A fly ball, I should say, out to left field. That ball was hooking and nearly dropped in front of Delman Young. So a line drive off the bat of Nick Swisher. Time to talk now, brought to you by Charles Schwab. Joining us is Twins skipper Ron Gardenhire. Very happy with the way Dunsing has started here at new Yankee Stadium.
Well, so far so good. He looks like he's using all of his pitches, and he's throwing the ball just fine. He's moving it in and out. Got a little nervous when A-Rod was up there with first base open, but he handled it just fine.
Watching Mauer, getting to see him play more, it's just, boy, what a player he is, Ronnie.
Yeah, he's a really good player. And, you know, he stepped up a lot this year in Colorado. He was hurt the first month, but you know what? He just says, I'm out there, skipper, let's go.
And let's go indeed. Your ball clubs play the Yankees tough in this ballpark. What do you got to do to get over the hump here at Yankee Stadium?
Score one more run than them before 9 innings.
I'm sure Twins fans everywhere feel the same way. Ronnie, thanks a million.
All right, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we knew that. It's more the emotional thing, Ron. This is a Twins ball club that's been playing on emotion the last 3 weeks.
Listen, they don't make it difficult over there in Minnesota.
No, that's a good point.
They keep it simple. But no, he's right. They have just been, I said it before, they've been turning butterflies into victories all month long. 17 of their last 21. Really have been playing playoff-style baseball the last month of the season because they have to try to get in.
So after Melky Cabrera reaches with a base hit, second of the game for the Yankees, it brings up Derek Jeter. And that one gets away from Mauer. And Cabrera on his way to second. That ball rolls into the Minnesota dugout. So a second Yankee runner in scoring position in tonight's game.
Well, that fastball just thrown. You see it hit the plate. When it hits the plate, it'll skip a little bit and beat Mauer. Did not have time to get down and block that ball.
And that is ruled a wild pitch. Talked with Tony Pena, great catcher in his day, now on Joe Girardi's staff, about Joe Mauer. He does like to scoop those balls in the dirt like that. And many times he comes up with them. That time he didn't. And a high fly ball belted down the left field line. It is gone. Night for Derek Jeter.
Well, he's not supposed to amaze you by this time with his timely play, but he seems to get all the big hits. Got a hanging slider there from Brian Dunston and wrapped around foul pole.
His 18th career postseason home run. And it ties the game in the third. And all of a sudden, the fans in the Bronx are in this game. And a strike to Johnny Damon.
We mentioned the shutdown inning, not to be for Mr. Dunston.
And that's a little low to Johnny Damon. 1 ball and 1 strike. It has been a magical year for the Yankee shortstop. And that ball slapped into left field. Young plays out on a hop. So the second time through the order, Ronnie, for the Yankees, a whole lot more fun than the first time through, and it starts with Derek Jeter's blast.
Well, he elevated that ball to Damon, and he elevated that slider to Derek Jeter, who wrapped it around the foul pole. Long home run here at Yankee Stadium. And again, this pitch up, we talked already about Johnny will get his hits to left field. Doesn't really drive it with power, and that ball fell in front of Young as Rick Anderson comes out to the mound to talk to this young left-handed starter.
Is there a ballpark in the American League that is less forgiving of a club that does not execute its pitches than this one with this lineup?
With this lineup, I think that is the key, is that you never have a let-up. And a lot of lineups you can look at it and say, I don't want this guy to beat me. Well, with the New York Yankees lineup, it's a multitude of guys, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 in the lineup, and that's the problem. So you really have to execute. You have to let them put the ball in play, but you got to keep it down. Dunston has not been able to do that this inning.
7 of the 9 Yankee offensive starters have 20 or more home runs for Joe Girardi. And now you're in amongst the big boys. Here's Teixeira. Mark hit a rocket to short and was retired his first time up.
Also, don't forget about the intelligence of this lineup. You know, they will make adjustments after their first at bat. They're sitting on that dugout step, sitting on the bench with each other, talking about what Dunsing has, what they saw, what speed they thought it was. Is it breaking down? Is it staying straight? All those things, they'll make adjustments, as you can see, continuously throughout the game.
Double play ball to short. There's one low throw, bad throw. And that should have been a 6-4-3 inning-ending double play, but a bad feed from Cabrera threw off the timing for second baseman Nick Punto.
Well, the team that usually executes the Minnesota Twins, right here, Cabrera, was very confused by the timing, threw that straight down into the ground, and did not give Punto a nice toss to make an easy play at first. You want to always have that throw, Chip, chest high. Makes it so much easier, and Dunsing disappointed.
Because now he has to face Alex Rodriguez with a man aboard in a tie game instead of looking on for the start of the fourth. Alex flied to right with Derek Jeter at second base in the first inning. And has the second longest run in a tie with Barry Bonds for the longest postseason hitless streak with a runner on base. He's 0 for his last 28. Walt Weiss holds that record. He's 0 for 35. One ball, one strike.
There's a guy that doesn't get in the slump very often. Slump-proof swing with Derek Jeter. Stays inside the baseball as good as anyone's ever played this game.
His two-run homer ties it up. And Rodriguez pops it out of play and is now behind in the count. One ball, two strikes.
Pitch count is pretty good for Dunsing. 35 strikes to ball ratio is outstanding.
At the conclusion of this 2009 regular season, Alex Rodriguez, 553 career home runs, 2,404 career hits. And takes high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. "15 years, 11 days of Major League service. 12 times he's been an American League All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove Award winner, 3-time AL MVP.
He might not trade all of that in, but he might trade some of it in for a ring and some hits in the postseason.
I would think that would be about right.
Maybe a couple of All-Stars.
Sure.
1 MVP. Mix and match.
He may end up hitting 800 home runs or so before he's done. He can give up a few of those if need be. But he's tied Mark McGwire on the all-time Major League Baseball home run list. And no signs of slowing down in 2009. But his struggles continue with men on base as Dunsing strikes him out. But Derek Jeter's 2-run homer down the left field line electrifies the New York night. 2-2 your score after 3 at Yankee Stadium. Lopez tonight, weeknights at 11:10 Central, starting November 9th only on TBS. This Yankee crowd was awakened by Derek Jeter's home run to tie things up. Now Delmon Young starts off the Minnesota fourth. CC Sabathia with 5 strikeouts in tonight's game has allowed 6 Twins hits.
Other than a couple of hitters, Punto had a nice at-bat. Spans had a couple of nice at-bats. Really not a lot of great swings here by the Twins so far off Sabathia.
Three pitches takes care of Delmon Young. 6 strikeouts for Sabathia. Time again to talk. Brought to you by Charles Schwab. Joining us is Yankee skipper Joe Girardi. First playoff game in the new home of the New York Yankees, and Girardi thrilled to be the skipper.
Extremely blessed, Jeff. You know that you're fortunate when anytime you get to put on this uniform and to be the first manager here at this uniform and to be able to do it during the first postseason game is pretty special.
Joe, you're going to be happy with the way Sabathia's thrown, even though he gave a couple of runs. His stuff is electric tonight.
Yeah, he's worked out some jams too, and the last thing that's unfortunate, we gave up that extra run, but G got us back, and it's a brand new ball game.
Got to ask you about Derek Jeter. Is there anything this guy can't do or hasn't done for you?
He's been a special player for a long time, and what he achieved this year, breaking Lou Gehrig's record with the most hits by the Yankees, is an unbelievable feat.
Brendan Harris looks way upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Think about that, fans. The Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, is now second to Derek Jeter on the all-time hit list for this illustrious franchise.
Number 4, more retired numbers here, of course, in Yankee Stadium. Mr. Jeter's will be retired here someday also.
Well, they're running out of space on that wall, aren't they?
That's what happens when you have so many great players. You know, I won't remember him as having the most hits, though, by Yankee. I'll remember him for his play in the postseason, his attention to detail, his hard play, running everything out, playing the game the way it used to be and playing the way the game should be played. That's what makes him special.
And as good as Derek has been this year, inevitably you think, okay, well, how long is Derek Jeter going to play? There seems to be no sign of his skills eroding whatsoever at the plate for this New York club. As Brendan Harris skies one to center, that's playable for Melky Cabrera. He's got it. And there's your second out. But can Derek Jeter hang around and maybe catch Pete Rose? Look at this stat.
Well, that's the play I was talking about, the kind of plays that he makes. This beautiful flip, of course, to get Jeremy Giambi at home plate. Just an unbelievable play. No one in baseball would make that play, being the trailer there behind the first baseman. Game-saving play.
So that was the flip for Jeter. The stat is 65 more hits on his 35th birthday than Pete Rose had on his 35th. So that gives you hope if you're a Yankee fan that, well, maybe he can catch Pete Rose. Well, the kicker is, after Pete Rose turned 35, he had 1,698 more hits.
Well, I think I contributed a great number
Did
to
you?
those. Yes, I did. But the thing about Derek is tell him he can't do anything, and he'll do it. That's the key. A lot of people were saying that his fielding had gone downhill. He went and worked on his agility. 8 errors this season. That he couldn't run anymore and steal bases. He stole 30 this season. Tell him he can't do something, he'll come in line and repair what people think is.
So for all the talk about who the Yankees have signed, remember what the heart and soul of this ball club is. Guys like Jeter, guys like Posada, guys like Mariano Rivera in pinstripes.
Look at those great numbers. Wow.
Broken bat grounder up the middle off Matt Tolbert's bat. Slick fielding play by Robinson Cano. And CC Sabathia has an uneventful top half of the 4th inning. Series, and don't miss any of the action of the 2009 Major League Baseball postseason. The excitement continues with the Division Series on TBS. Game 1 of the Rockies-Phillies Division Series was played earlier today, and the Phillies behind Cliff Lee took care of Colorado. A roller hit toward first, Dunsing to the bag, and Hideki Matsui an easy out in the bottom of the fourth inning.
Well, 1 pitch, 1 out for Mr. Dunsing. I think this is a key inning here for the Twins because they become more and more dangerous, Chip, I think, as they kind of get the sleep out of their eyes after that long night coming in from Minnesota and stay close. And as they stay close, deeper and deeper into the game, become more dangerous.
So 1 up, 1 down for Jorge Posada. Posada lined out to right his first time up. Game 2 of the series will be on Friday. And it'll be Nick Blackburn for the Twins, A.J. Burnett for the Yankees. And Dunsing misses low.
Andy Pettitte will pitch Game 3 for the Yankees. The Minnesota Twins don't know right now whether it'll be Carl Pavano or Scott Baker, who started, of course, yesterday's ball game.
For the casual fan who's not sure why the Yankees chose to start this series on Wednesday rather than Thursday, Joe Girardi offered a very interesting explanation for that. He wants to protect his relief corps in this first round series with the Twins.
Protect them by giving them extra rest,
right.
But even more importantly, you can go a little deeper with a guy. If you came in with, say, a Phil Hughes, you can maybe get an inning and a third out of him instead of just a straight inning with the day off tomorrow.
And then, of course, a day off to travel to Minneapolis for Game 3 of the series. So we'll see how that works out for both these ball clubs. And whether it's an advantage or disadvantage or not for the Twins, nobody really knows. We've talked all night long about the emotional high that they've been on. You've been on teams that have had those kinds of roles. Players will tell you the last thing they want to do is have a day off when you're rolling like Minnesota's been. So we'll see what gives tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I know a lot of people were asking Ron Gardenhire if they're going to work out tomorrow. He said, no way. I want my players to sleep.
Well, that's tough. This is the city that never sleeps. Hopefully they'll be able to rest up, though, for Game 2. 2-2 score. And a 2-2 pitch popped up. Into shallow right field. That's going to drop. And a blue pit for Jorge Posada puts him aboard with 1 man out.
He really couldn't have placed this hit any better. Jammed by Dunsing on this pitch and just deposited right in that kind of Bermuda Triangle spot that second baseman Puto can't get to. Kubel, of course, and first baseman Kadire. No play at all.
Robinson Cano took a called third strike. That ended the Yankees' second inning. He looked back at Tim Sheeta and said, "You kidding me?" Mauer was moving all over the place when that pitch caught the strike zone. Big hole right side for him. And he's down a strike.
Interesting, Ron Gardenhire said that most everyone in his bullpen is ready to go tonight. Joe Nathan had to get 5 outs in last night's ball game.
And the benefit for Minnesota of the Vikings game on Monday Night Football at the Metrodome was they had a day off before Game 163. And now they'll, of course, have the day off after tonight's Game 1 here in New York. So, as he said, it's pretty much all hands on deck out of that Minnesota pen. Twins carrying 3 lefties down there, Mijares, Liriano, and Nehei. 5, make it 6 righties in the pen. Crane, Baker, Nathan, Keppel, Guerrier, and Roush. And out of play foul, still 0-2. Cano, a big year, hit .320, hit 25 homers, scored over 100 runs, had over 200 hits, and played every game but one.
It's an interesting thing about the postseason, though. All of those stats are washed away. Start over.
And the Twins certainly happy about that when it comes to playing in this city, head-to-head with the Yankees.
Well, at least playing here in postseason as opposed to regular season.
In the regular season under Ron Gardenhire, the Twins have only won 3 games out of 26 played at either Yankee Stadium. But in the ALDS at New York, 4 games, Twins have won 2 of them. And they won the first game of the 2003 and 2004 ALDS here in New York, and they would love to do it here in 2009. Ground ball. Kadire will go to second for 1. Return to first is late and dropped. So a forced play takes care of Jorge Posada. Robinson Cano aboard with 2 out. Game tied 2-2 as again we check in with our colleague Craig Sager.
Chip, you're talking about a day off tomorrow for the Minnesota Twins here in New York. Remember the Boston Red Sox, they went out to Anaheim to play the Angels on Monday because they didn't know if they were going to open their series on Wednesday or Thursday. So they've been out there. They've been going through their workouts, so they had a workout today. And what they decided to do with their families? They went to Disneyland. So Disneyland in the middle of a postseason, rather unusual, but that's what some of the Red Sox got to do today.
Yeah, they're obviously tight, Craig. Worried about that Angel Club, huh?
What a bummer having an off day in Southern California.
Yeah. And that's going to be a heck of a series. The Angels and the Boston Red Sox in their round 1 matchup. And that ball yanked foul. And out of play by Nick Swisher, who lined to left his first time tonight. Is this the year that the Angels get over the Boston Red Sox hump in postseason play?
Well, they've had kind of a melancholy year, haven't they, to begin with, losing their pitcher Nick Adenhart in that just awful accident, and they've kind of rallied around that horrible tragedy. And they've played superior baseball like they do every year.
Swisher called for the second strike. Chuck Merriweather, the first base umpire, said he went too far.
Well, you can see from the side angle. Yeah, that looks like a swing to me.
Spoken like a true pitcher.
0-2.
Pitcher,
right?
Yeah, it's too easy. Cano at first, 2 outs. Swisher, one of 4 Yankee switch hitters in tonight's lineup. 9 of his 29 home runs have been hit from the right side of the plate.
See that grip, the circle changeup by Dunston. You see a lot of pitchers do that now, so when they enter the glove doesn't open up and reveal to the hitter what they're throwing.
I know you hate to give them credit, but hitters are pretty smart. They can pick up even the tiniest of movements to determine what a pitcher's throwing.
They really can, so you have to really be stealth as a pitcher so you don't give it away. And plus, if you get that grip, you always have the same grip every single time, which is good to keep that consistency. Grabbing a fastball or your breaking pitch is so easy for a pitcher. It's natural.
Just missed a little low. And the count even, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cabrera waits next. And Dunsing, as we've said, this Twins ball club, Ronnie, preaches throwing strikes and pitching to contact.
Working quickly, keeping your fielders involved in the ball game.
Line fair and into the left field corner. Cano around second, on his way to third. They're going to wave him. Relay throw to the plate is up the line, and the Yankees take the lead.
again, hurt by that slider that Jeter hit for a home run. Swisher now rips this ball down the line. Delmon Young does a nice job of playing this carom, getting it in. The problem is when he gets it in, he one bounces it to Orlando Cabrera, takes some of the steam off that throw, and then the throw up the line by Cabrera, not in time.
I think if that throw's on line, they've got him at the plate.
I like that, though, by Rob Thompson, the third base coach. Pushed the envelope there with 2 outs.
He made the Twins make a play defensively. They couldn't, and New York now in front. And a high pop fly foul down the left field line off Melky Cabrera's bat. Has him down a strike. So all of a sudden, the Yankees have the lead tonight.
You know, we always talk about third base coaches, and, you know, some are good and some are not so good. But one of the things you have to do as a third base coach, and Rob Thompson did it great there, is that with 2 outs, your 9th place hitter up. Now, Cabrera is very talented, but he is your 9th place hitter. Why not push the envelope with 2 outs? Take a chance. And it worked right there.
Oh, 2.
But the third base coach is always counting on their chip is that it's got to be almost perfect. Delmon Young's got to play that carom perfectly, which he did. He's got to make a perfect throw to Cabrera, which he didn't do. One hopped it. And then Cabrera's got to make a perfect throw to home, which he didn't. 2 out of 3 bad, you get a run.
And Cabrera swings and misses, and that retires the side. But the Yankees get a big 2-out hit. This one from Nick Swisher. A double down the left field line. And the Yankees wave home Robinson Cano and take the lead. Of a shutdown inning for Brian Dunsing. How has CeCe Sabathia done when the Yankees score for him.
Well, he's been very good this year. In the AL, he's third, 2.40. So that is a really good number. But you expect it to be that way. This guy is he's got all the great talent that you want, the ability to throw 95, razor blade slider. But it's the inside that I like about CC Sabathia. He's just one of those guys that revels in being a number one, revels in making all his starts, pitching deep into games, and throwing lots of innings, taking a lot of the responsibility off some of the other people in the pitching staff.
Line drive to second. Robinson Cano makes the play, and 5 in a row retired by CC Sabathia. The Yankees, as you know, had that long postseason run interrupted last year. They didn't make the playoffs. They'd like to start a nice long run this year in the race to 11 wins and that World Championship. Big difference, though, with this Yankee ball club as opposed to ones in recent seasons, I think, is the power pitching top to bottom they've been able to assemble.
You're right. In the bullpen and also on the mound. And in the postseason, and listening to Mark Teixeira talk about it, sometimes you need those guys that just can shut down the other team, that can strike them out, not put the ball in play. Anything can happen when the ball is out there in the outfield. But I think the key about Sabathia, he is one of those pitchers that sometimes when it's given a lead, that's the last chance saloon for the other team. I mean, he's one of those guys that can really close a team out. It'll be interesting to see if he can do that against this hot Twins team tonight.
Remember, it was the man in the batter's box, Denard Span, that doubled to start this game, and the Twins couldn't bring him around with Cabrera, Mauer, or Kadire. And with the Twins trailing by a run, that's a very big run, an opportunity they have wasted in tonight's Game 1. Seven strikeouts for Sabathia.
When CC is ahead in the count so far, his slider has been electric. Got ahead of Denard Span. He has the ability to span that strike zone, throw that down in the strike zone, swing it over the top of it to Span. No chance.
So 7 strikeouts for Sabathia, new postseason high. 2 outs for Orlando Cabrera, who has struck out, singled, and scored. You know, he wants to get Cabrera here and worry about Mauer with the bases empty in the 6th inning. And a ground ball past Derek Jeter, and he will go to the stretch with a runner aboard and 2 outs.
Another 2 hits by Cabrera, who just is the Energizer Bunny when he is in there. He has brought so much confidence, so much energy to this ball club. He's been a tutor for some of the younger Spanish players. He's just a winner. He's been a winner any place he's gone.
Boy, it looked like ultimate cage fighting in the Twins dugout with Cabrera and Joe Nathan celebrating the big plays late in the ball game last night. Boy, were they pumped up. And now we'll see what Joe Mauer has in mind. 1 for 2 is he with a double, and a run scored on a passed ball tonight. There have been 2 of those from Jorge Posada. The second of them gave Minnesota a 2-0 lead. Mauer checked to swing, but tipped it into Posada's glove. A strike.
Well, the big difference this year for Joe Mauer has really been the power that he has showed. His first 5 years in the big leagues, more of a singles and doubles hitter. Every about 46, 47 at bats is when he'd hit a home run. Now, this season, 18.7 at bats for every home run. Those doubles are now going over the wall. And you say, how does that happen? You know, he's a great hitter before. Well, what happens now is he gets into his 6th and 7th years, that he gets more intelligent about the pitchers. He's faced them more. He knows when to look in occasionally. All those little things have helped him mature into the hitter he is today.
Runner goes, the pitch outside. Posada's throw is late. And a gigantic jump by Orlando Cabrera has him in scoring position with 2 men out.
That's one where Posada had no chance. And really just going on first movement from CC. And as soon as he left, he knew he had that one easy.
Maurer, the hometown kid out of St. Paul, Minnesota, first player selected in the 2001 draft out of Cretin-Durham Hall High School.
Got a letter of intent to Florida State. He could have done anything. Great athlete.
Buzzed inside, ball two. 2 balls, 1 strike. You mentioned the ability of Maurer to hit the ball the other way. He can hit the ball the other way with power. He can turn on a ball and hit it out to right field. He hits lefty as well. He hits for power. He hits for average. And a 6-foot 5-inch catcher. Remarkable production in the most demanding of positions, as a plastic bag, I believe, in front of the plate will be grabbed by Tim Sheeta, and that'll give Posada a chance to talk things over with CC Sabathia.
That's pretty interesting here. After the steal of Cabrera, 2-1 count, you never would want to pitch around Maurer, but it gives CC Sabathia, if he wants, a chance to try to get Maurer to go outside the strike zone. If he were to walk him, then he can go after Kadire again. But Kadire, again, we've said, is going to be the big reason here in this series if the Twins are able to prevail.
Ground ball right side. Nice pickup by Cano and Teixeira. Johnny on the spot. CC Sabathia does indeed have that shutdown inning he was looking for. And his Yankees lead 3-2, bottom of the 5th. And Derek Jeter has christened it with the first Yankee home run. Only fitting.
Wow, most postseason home runs. Unbelievable. More series played, of course, because of the division play. Makes Mickey Mantle's numbers look pretty good, right? 12 series, 18 home runs.
And so Derek Jeter starts off this bottom of the fifth inning. A single on the first pitch of the game and a two-run homer down the left field line that tied it at 2. And here is that third inning blast.
Well, the Twins have scored 2 runs, and it always seems that when the opposition scores a couple runs on the Yankees, they come right back, and usually Derek Jeter's right in the middle of that, and he was there with a 2-run home run.
That's low and inside, ball 3, 3 balls and a strike. We talked with Ron Gardenhire about the job that Dunsing would have to do in this ballpark against this lineup. Would you say he's been able to keep his emotions in check so far?
I think he's done all right. Of course, the one mistake he made maybe 2 mistakes. The one to Jeter, of course, the 2-run home run, and the mistake up in the strike zone to Nick Swisher. But other than that, he's been pretty good. And I think if you are manager Ron Gardenhire, and if you get 5 or 6 innings of 3-run ball from Dunsing, you'd be pretty happy.
4 rookie starting pitchers have won a team's postseason opener. Last done in 1978 by Jim Beattie of the Yankees, and that was in the ALCS. And that's downstairs to Jeter on base for the 3rd time in this game. And this is the danger area for Ron Gardenhire, as he said in his pregame media gaggle today. Mistakes and, more importantly, walks in this park with this lineup are poison.
We saw Scott Baker lead the game last night because he walked the leadoff hitter in the 6th. Here a problem for Dunsing in the 5th.
So the first pass issued to Derek Jeter. You mentioned his ability to steal bases. He's done that 30 times. And Johnny Damon, 1-for-2 in tonight's game, is down a strike.
He's really trying to measure the Dunsing. In the last couple of seasons, really, Jeter hasn't run on left-handers. Last 2 seasons, 2 in each of those seasons, 11 this year. So he's been running much more against the left-handers.
There's that scoop of Joe Mauer, and he came up with it that time on a ball way outside. And now a chat with the Minnesota catcher.
Almost like Johnny Bench-like. Look at that backhand. You want to turn that glove over if you can. But what happens to catchers a lot of times is they assume early in the count that their pitcher is going to throw a strike. But when you have a young pitcher who might have some nerves out there, you'll get those kind of pitches early in the count, not even close.
Twins want to keep Jeter close at first base here in this bottom of the 5th inning. Top of the 8 o'clock hour here in New York City. Game 1 of this American League Division Series between the Twins and the Yankees. With Ron Darling and Craig Sager and our entire TBS crew, I'm Chip Carey. Yankees 3, Minnesota 2. Jeter aboard with nobody out. And Johnny Damon, an even count. Great jump, hot shot to first, and the only play for Kadire is at first base. So that's twice in this game that Joe Girardi sent the runner, and it's kept New York out of a potential double play situation.
Yeah, opportune running there. But Joe feeling pretty disappointed because Johnny Damon hit a bullet here. And Kadire doesn't get that far off, and that ball right at him as he makes that backhanded play.
Twins bullpen starts to work now as Mark Teixeira strides into the batter's box. And it's Liriano, the left-hander.
Figured he might be one of the first ones up. He did not participate in yesterday's game, one of the few.
Tex pops it up right side and playable. Nick Punto battling the wind. Now backpedals and makes the grab for the second out. I would imagine if you can play the roof in the Metrodome, a little breeze in Yankee Stadium is not going to bother you.
Well, he's one of Ron Gardenhire's ball players. He just knows how to play the game, does Nick Punto.
So another chance for A-Rod with a man on base. He's batted twice in those situations. And he's 0 for 2.
Well, pitching coach Rick Anderson's going to go out to talk to Brian Dunsing, see what they want to do with A-Rod up with first base open, a couple out. Do they want to pass him to first base and go up against the left-handed Matsui?
So while they chat, let's take a look, Ron, at tonight's Travelers mid-game recap. It was the Minnesota Twins scoring first. Michael Kadire, a little blue hit that brought home the game's first run. And then a passed ball off of Jorge Posada brought home Joe Mauer. Derek Jeter hit a 2-run homer to tie it in the bottom of the third inning. And then Nick Swisher with an RBI double down the left field line gives New York a 3-2 lead, which they hold now with a man on, 2 outs, and third baseman Alex Rodriguez up. Line drive, left center field. The streak is over. Here comes Jeter. He will score, and the Yankees up 4-2. What did Ron Gardenhire say? Walks are killers, and the leadoff walk becomes the 4th New York run.
He also said the first time Dunsing faced Alex Rodriguez at first base open, pitched to him very nervously. Here, a pretty good pitch down and in, but Alex Rodriguez ready for that fastball on that first pitch count, lining that ball to left center field. You got to feel like proverbial monkey off the back right there with that 2-out RBI hit to score Jeter.
1 for his last 30 now with men on base, 1 for his last 20 with runners in scoring position, and 2 RBIs in his last 62 at bats. But that a big one for A-Rod and the Yankees. Cardinals and Dodgers out west.
Well, Cliff Lee was outstanding pitching today for the Philadelphia Phillies, as he's been since he's come over from Cleveland. And Francisco Liriano coming in for the Minnesota Twins. This is a young man with unlimited talent, but has really struggled for the Twins. 24 starts this year out of those 29 games. And you can see those strikeouts are up, but the walks are up also. ERA at 5.80.
Time call by Tim Sheeta. Liriano still trying to come back from Tommy John surgery. And he was an acquisition by the Twins and a big deal with the San Francisco Giants. Joe Nathan, Liriano, and Boof Bonza for A.J. Przinsky. What a deal that turned out to be for Minnesota.
Sometimes with a Tommy John surgery, Chip, it takes a whole year after the surgery before you can come back. But it was in 2006 that he showed so much promise. Went 12-3 in 16 games started. And really, in some ways, they were pitching him a lot like Johan Santana started his career. They were molding him into that form. Good changeup, good fastball, but arm troubles have plagued him.
One ball, no strikes. As Matsui looks downstairs, 2-0. Ron Gardenhire talking with Brian Dunsing about his start on that Minnesota bench. The rookie left-hander gave him 4 2/3 innings of 7-hit, 1-walk baseball here in New York. Hot shot pulled foul, 2 balls and a strike.
I don't know what Ron Gardenhire was telling Mr. Dunsing, but neither seemed to be too happy with the discussion. You know, you're a young kid, your rookie year, pitching in the postseason at Yankee Stadium, and when you put your head on the pillow the night before, you always envision a little different start than the one he had today.
High fly ball, that's well hit. Span going back, still going back. It's out of here and into New Monument Park.
Has blown out to right field all summer long, but with the winds changing this evening, the wind has been blowing out to left and out to center field, and that just got up in that jet stream. A big reaction on the bench for those New York Yankees.
And Matsui continues to punish left-handed pitching. A long 2-run homer, and the Yankees have a 6-2 fifth-inning lead. And if you want a reason why Liriano's been struggling, in the regular season this year, he allowed 21 home runs. He'd allowed 20 home runs in his career before that. And that one was launched. Two balls and a strike to Jorge Posada, and a big smile for Hideki Matsui.
They've had some great performances from not only Johnny Damon, but Hideki Matsui, both going to be free agents at the end of the season. Big decisions for the Yanks.
Broken bat bouncer toward third. That's a foul ball. And Posada now a 2-2 count. You mentioned the jet stream. With or without the wind, this ballpark has an early reputation of being a home run haven. But certainly, as Craig Sager reported earlier tonight, the wind is gusting and blowing straight out. And this one looked to find the jet stream.
But you saw that swing. That is a classic Matsui swing. And like you said, got it high in that jet stream and just carried out of here. Although hit so well. Liriano giving up the home run, and Matsui has just been great this season against left-handers. 13 home runs, 131 at-bats. That's outstanding.
Two big Yankee hits. 3 big Yankee RBIs with 2 outs in this inning. It all started with a leadoff walk. Ron Gardenhire proved to be a prophet tonight, as that just missed full count.
Well, Gardy pushed all the right buttons in last night's game. Not working out so well tonight. It's about the looming large.
Strike 3. And Posada is retired. He disagrees. Alex Rodriguez snaps out of a long batting slump with men on base in the postseason. He had an RBI hit. Matsui a 2-run homer, and the Yankees score 3 in the bottom of the 5th. Chip Carey back in the Bronx. The Yankees have broken the game open. 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, and 3 in the 5th. They are in front of the Twins by a 6-2 score heading to inning number 6 tonight.
And you'll see Sabathia now really start pounding that strike zone. Gets up on Kadire with that first pitch strike.
Michael Kadire, the batter, 1 ball and 1 strike. It truly is once the calendar turns to postseason play. You mentioned the records, the Yankees with 103 regular season wins, the Twins with 87. The only thing that matters is who gets to 11 first. And a liner caught it short. That ball was smoked. But Derek Jeter in perfect position took care of Michael Kadire.
We were talking about emotion for the Twins earlier today, but how about the emotion for the Yankees? That this quest, journey to win the World Series has always seemed the last few years to almost be a burden. But this year they've had some levity, some lightness to this team. Lots of smiles. I don't know if it's Swisher I don't know if it's the pies in the face from Burnett, Sabathia making the team closer, but this has been an enjoyable journey for this team this season.
And they've made it fun. I mean, they've made it interesting, too. The Yankees have 36 comeback wins in this ballpark.
I mean, listen, it's always fun when you win 103 games, but, you know, it was burdensome at times for this great franchise, but they are having a blast this season.
Jason Kubel pops it up left side. Wynn grabs a hold of that. But in foul ground, Alex Rodriguez, a two-handed catch for the second out. And we talked to Joe Girardi during a 162-game regular season. There's so many big turning points or big moments. He has said that this sequence of games against the Minnesota Twins was hugely important for their ball club with those comebacks in mind. 3 straight games they walked off against Minnesota.
That big hit there by A-Rod against a gutsy team, as Girardi has described the Twins.
Delman Young, the batter, 1 ball, no strikes. He is 0 for 2 with 2 swinging strikeouts tonight. And no swing. Ball 2 to Delman Young. We talked about it earlier as well. The expectations in our open. The emotion of the Minnesota Twins. They had the early lead tonight, but their emotions have been dashed to a point by the Yankee long balls in this game. And a fly ball to left handled by Johnny Damon. And CC Sabathia continues to roll merrily along in game 1 of their matchup with the Minnesota Twins. 3 up and 3 men down. Half of the 6th inning. A pair of 2-run homers for the Yankees in this ball game. Derek Jeter and Hideki Matsui, the big blows for the Yankees as they try to jump in front of Minnesota in game 1 of this series. And a slow roller hit past the mound. Tough play, Punto. He makes it. What a play at second base by Nick Punto. Tumbling face first into the grass. Took care of Robinson Cano. Wow.
Ron Gardenhire said when they got Orlando Cabrera, it allowed them to move Punto to second base, and he can make these acrobatic plays. Barehanded, off balance, underhanded throw. Wow. I mean, this is the only way you're going to get Cano at first base with a play like this. We saw him with a beautiful play last night with the bases loaded, coming in, making that forced play at home. Does all the little things, does Nick Punto.
So a marvelous start for Minnesota in the bottom of this 6th inning. And Nick Swisher, the batter, he has an RBI double tonight.
The only way you can survive in the postseason, and the Twins haven't gotten it tonight, is you have to have good starting pitching. If you don't have good starting pitching, you're always going to run into trouble, and that's what happened to the Twins tonight.
Fly ball into shallow center field. Denard Span's got it. And 2 men are out. This is the second game of our playoff triple header today and tonight on TBS. Here it's the Yankees 6, Minnesota 2. Brian Anderson and Joe Simpson had the Rockies and the Phillies today, where Cliff Lee was dazzling, went the distance, didn't walk anybody. Ubaldo Jimenez gave up 5 runs in 5 innings, and more importantly, Ron, every Philly in the game had a hit against Colorado today.
Happiest guy there, Charlie Manuel, did not have to go to the bullpen. No decisions with Cliff Lee.
And Ryan Howard, Jason Worth, Raul Ibanez, that murderer's row in the National League, 6 for 11 with 4 RBIs today. And coming up next, it's game 1 of the Cardinals and Dodgers series. You saw Albert Pujols and Manny Ramirez exchanging greetings before game 1 a few minutes ago. And coming up, it's Chris Carpenter and Randy Wolf out at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles.
The veteran Wolf, that's his first postseason start.
Melky Cabrera, fly ball into center field, spans under that, and an uneventful 6th inning for Mr. Liriano. On we go to the 7th inning. New York a big lead. pitched brilliant baseball, allowing a couple of runs on 7 hits. And only one of those runs is earned against him. 7 strikeouts, a new postseason career high. And like Cliff Lee, hasn't hurt himself with a base on balls. He faces Brendan Harris here in the top half of the 7th inning at Yankee Stadium. The first playoff game in this new ballpark has gone exactly the way the Yankees would have liked. And now the question is, how long do you let Sabathia toil in a game they lead by 4? There is activity now in the Yankees bullpen.
Well, 97 pitches, so maybe they want to keep him under 120 or so maybe they're only going to give him 1 more inning. I personally would like to see him go 8 against this scrappy bunch only down by 4 runs.
Well, again, Joe Girardi picked the start of his series for tonight so that he could use his bullpen liberally with lots of days off. And there is a very prominent name in that Yankee bullpen alongside Phil Hughes, who's warming up, and that's Jabba Chamberlain. So a ton of options for Joe Girardi if he so desires, as Brendan Harris is the 8th strikeout victim tonight.
He's thrown sliders out of the strike zone. He's thrown them down and in, but this one is a backdoor variety. Nice pitch by CC Sabathia. Unhittable. You know, he's got you feeling as a right-handed hitter. He's throwing 94, 95 miles an hour in. He's got that changeup down and away, and that backdoor slider. What a combination.
Here's Matt Tolbert. He's 0 for 2. And shows bunt. And that's tipped for a strike. Another big difference for CC Sabathia this year is that entering this postseason, he's very well rested. Remember the job he did for Milwaukee down the stretch last season. Just a remarkable run. All those complete games, all those big innings pitched before finally running out of gas against the Phillies.
And the key is that he was doing it on 3 days rest, not regular rest, and I think that's what wore him down.
4 straight starts with 3 days rest for CC Sabathia down the stretch, including the postseason last year. Doesn't look like he's going to have to worry much about that for this 2009 Yankee club. And that's the last thing he wanted to do. Up and in, hits Matt Tolbert. And he doesn't want to rub it, but boy, he got smoked. A hit by pitch places him at first with 1 out.
Wanted to come up and in. You can see cannot get that hand out of place right on that wrist, that left wrist of Tolbert. Boy, a pretty tough kid to run down there without getting checked. Those are the places we see many hitters. That's where they break. I think it's called that hamate bone right there on the wrist and cut short a season.
So here's Puto. He singled and lined out. A 104 pitches for Sabathia so far tonight. And the second portion of this start, he has been exceptionally good. From the 4th inning till now, he's had just 2 base runners, so much more comfortable with his 8 strikeouts. And now Posada out for yet another chat. It's a 6-2 game. Twins battling here in the 7th as again we check in with Craig Sager.
Well, Chip, in the open, you talked so much about the emotion carrying the Twins. That's what Ron Gardenhire said. He said, we'll be all right tonight, but tomorrow we'll be really tired. They need some second wind right now because nobody's standing up on the dugout. Everybody looks very fatigued inside the dugout. Joe Nathan just trotted out to the bullpen in case they needed him, but right now they look like the fatigue's setting in. They need a little rally here. Chip.
That's a little high, ball 2. And that gets the interest of Joe Girardi, I'm sure, as Sabathia sees that pitch count creeping a little higher. Activity continues in the Yankee pen. Big boppers for Minnesota lurking here with a man aboard and one out. I told you that Minnesota, for all the wonderful things that they have done in the tenure of Ron Gardenhire, winning in New York has been a very difficult proposition for him. But the beauty of a short series, if you win one of these two games, you are able then to wrest home field advantage right back away and go back to the Metrodome, where we know all about the Metrodome magic from last night.
Well, he's heard a lot of silly talk by some people talking about the Twins are just happy to get in the postseason. They're not just happy to get in the postseason. They're trying to steal one here in Yankee Stadium and go back to the Homer Hankies at the Metrodome.
Ground ball off Sabathia's foot, and he can't find the baseball. And that's a break for Minnesota. As Craig said, they need something good to happen for them. And that'll be an infield hit by Nick Punto. And the Twins now have 2 men aboard and 1 man out, trailing by 4 here in the 7th.
Well, CC Sabathia is a very good athlete, but one of the things when he follows through, he almost follows through with his back to the plate, so he never gets in fielding position. And you'll see him a couple times already reach for the ball with his bare hand, and here try to kind of kick it with his foot, which he did. Ends up a base hit for Punto.
So a 2-hit night for the Twins second baseman. Also a spectacular defensive play for him in this game. And now it gets a little more interesting with Denard Span up. Twins are 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position so far in this game. That mirrors the struggles that they endured in the 4-game series here at Yankee Stadium during regular season play. They were 4 for 38 then. Close games, yes, but just haven't been able to consistently come up with a big hit. May 15th, they led in the 9th. May 16th, they led the game in the 8th. May 17th, they led in the 7th. And they lost all 3 of them. Here they trail 6-2.
This game has really slowed down as Sabathia and Jorge Posada have had trouble really getting in sync here in the 7th. Working very slow, and I think that with Sabathia, who likes to work on a nice quick tempo, starts to slow it down. That's where he loses the strike zone, loses his consistency.
Tolbert trying to do anything he can to distract Sabathia. And, you know, he'd love to come across and score a run. He was the man hit by a pitch with 1 out in this inning.
Just got to remember, it's 6-2. His run, you know, there's more runs they need. So get a solid lead, but don't get picked off.
High and tight to Denard Span. 1 ball and 1 strike. Span really exploded for the Twins with a big month of August. Had the 3rd highest on base percentage in the American League that month, behind Ichiro and the Yankees' Derek Jeter. And that sweeping slider, Ronnie, to the left-hand hitters of the Twins has been, as you said, razor sharp from the very first time he's thrown it.
It really has. It's almost been unhittable, but for the Twins, they've got to be thinking right here with 1 out. How do you get 1 hit off Sabathia? You can just get 1 more person on base, maybe driving around. Get Mauer to the plate at some point with 1 shot to get back in it with 1 swing.
Will it be the fastball? Will it be the breaking ball? Tim Cheetah asks for time. It has appeared like Posada's been crossed up a couple of times in this game, and this is obviously a big situation for Minnesota tonight.
Well, it's almost Jorge, when guys are on base, he's very methodical, wants to make sure he puts down the right signs, and sometimes that takes a while. No sign there, though.
Good stop that time, but late breaking to the baseball is Posada, and the Twins very alertly pounce upon that opportunity and move up 90 feet. So the double play opportunity is by the boards, and a hit could score 2 for the Twins.
Well, this was outstanding form, outstanding stop. But see how he can't find the baseball? That was the key. Looking all over, by the time he realized it was off to his right. Good base running by both Tolbert and Punto. They saw that he could not find it and advanced to the next base. One of the little things that this Twins club can do.
That's a wild pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Popped up. Shallow right, playable. Swisher is under it. He's got it. Runner at third tags and isn't going anywhere. And so Joe Girardi on his way to the mound. And a big roar for CC Sabathia.
Well, a career high in the postseason for CC Sabathia. Many on the sliders. Great thing about CC is that he really was getting up in the count. Only 3 of the 8 strikeouts did he throw the ball over the plate. He got ahead, was able to expand the strike zone, and had the Twins hitters searching, looking, and trying to find those darting sliders.
So Sabathia, 6 innings and 2/3, 8 hits, couple of runs so far, only 1 of them earned. The big stat, no walks, 113 pitches, and he will give way to one of the real bright stories for this New York ball club. Philip Hughes, when he was placed in the bullpen, has become an unbelievable compliment to Mariano Rivera.
Well, what happened for Philip Hughes is they were thinking of sending him down, but he pitched 8 shutout innings against Texas. And they said, boy, he's just too good to send down. Let's put him in the bullpen for a while. And he has really excelled in that role.
And he just blows a fastball right on by Orlando Cabrera.
Last win for the New York Yankees in division play in 2007. Winning pitcher, Phil Hughes, relieving Roger Clemens in that game against the Cleveland Indians. So he does have postseason experience.
And according to the Elias Sports Bureau, allowed just 3 hits and 33 at-bats with a runner in scoring position in relief. And that's the situation he finds himself in now. The 2 runners aboard belong to CC Sabathia in a 4-run game. And he's got Cabrera behind 1 and 2. Hard to believe Philip Hughes is just 23 years old. And it's almost as if he and Jabba Chamberlain have reversed roles on this Yankee pitching staff.
And this will be one of the question marks. Will they have a successful bridge to Rivera this entire postseason? Philip Hughes will be the first one tested.
And we'll do it again. A ball and 2 strikes.
You have to ask yourself, does Orlando Cabrera have another big hit in him? He showed that 2-run home run in last night's ball game. And against the best pitchers, he gets better. They're top 10 in wins, he hits .351. Top 10 in ERA, he hits .362. Strikeout pitchers, he hits over 300 against also.
And look at him fight Hughes here in the 7th. And the importance of this at bat, quite obvious. If he gets on, the inning stays alive for the batting champion, Joe Mauer, who's in the on-deck circle. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Well, they got Phil Koch, the left-hander, warming up in the bullpen. The only problem you have there with Hughes pitching to Cabrera, you need him to get Cabrera out, because left-hander on left-hander, Koch against Mauer. Mauer's 3 for 4 with a couple of bombs.
And Mauer, as we told you all night, hits lefties exceptionally well. And Koch, part of that. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Another pop fly out of play. Big at bat continues for Orlando Cabrera. Boy, for a man who's been around the game as long as he, was there anything more fun to watch than his exuberance in game 163 for Minnesota?
Well, I think he's brought a lightness over to this team too. I think that when they had all the injuries to Slowey, to Creedy, and then finally seemed like the final nail in the coffin with Justin Morneau, they believed or thought they could come back. But he told them they could come back, made them believe in themselves, and that's why they're here today.
Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Good eye by Cabrera. Tim Sheeta's had a great game behind the plate. That ball's not close.
Quality at bat for Orlando Cabrera in the 7th. And we'll do it again.
It's almost when Cabrera takes at bats, to me, it's almost like he fouls pitches off until the pitcher makes a mistake. And then he pounces. Hughes, no mistake so far.
Cabrera has played in the division series with Anaheim, the Yankees, Boston, Tampa Bay. And I'd say Hughes has passed his first test. CC Sabathia in line to win Game 1. First playoff test in 2009 for Phil Hughes went very well. 6-2 is your score. Ron Darling, Chip Carey. Want to be clear that we understand about Orlando Cabrera. 4 postseason opponents in Division Series play. Anaheim, Yankees, Boston, Tampa Bay. Second time now against New York. You asked him to come up with a big hit for Minnesota, but Phil Hughes took care of that.
Well, he's been up to the test almost all season long since going to the bullpen. And the reason being really is that he's had the ability to throw his fastball 2 spots, and when he's needed to, he's been able to keep that ball down. And that pitch was just perfect. Down in a place where Orlando Cabrera could not put it in play at 95 miles an hour, went exclusively with fastballs. And when he was a starter, he was a 3-pitch pitcher. Has become really a 1-pitch pitcher out of the pen.
So Cabrera gave it a valiant try, but strikes out with 2 men on for Minnesota. The Twins have left 6 men on base in tonight's Game 1 of this ALDS. Ronnie, let's take a look at tonight's language of the game, brought to you by Foster's. Tonight we focus on base percentage. And for those unfamiliar with that statistic, it refers to Rule 10.21F. You determine on-base percentage by dividing the sum of hits, walks, and times hit by pitch by the sum of your at-bats, bases on balls, times hit by pitch, and sacrifice flies. And the on-base percentage of Derek Jeter over 400 this year.
Well, anything over 400 is great. Joe Mauer was off the planet with that 444. Ben Zobrist had a nice year, didn't he, down in Tampa Bay?
Zorilla, they called him. And yes, he had a fine year. Liriano continues for Minnesota here in the 7th, and you hear the MVP chant now for Derek Jeter. And heck, he may split the vote. There are 3 worthy candidates for this New York ball club: Jeter, Mark Teixeira, and maybe Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
And he lived up to those credentials. On base 3 times, the big blow, the 3rd inning.
Well, it was a huge hit because the Twins had just scored 2 runs. You're thinking to yourself, maybe Cinderella's darlings are going to continue their great play. And that 2-run home run got the crowd into this ball game. That was the big difference.
Again, Minnesota took the crowd out early. Sort of a nervous crowd is what I felt about it, not knowing how this one was going to start out. It didn't start out well for the Yankees. They trailed 2-0 in the top half of the 3rd inning, tied it on the Jeter homer, added a run in the 4th inning on the Nick Swisher double, and then a 2-out hit from A-Rod brought home Derek Jeter. Then Matsui's 2-run homer into Monument Park in center field, as the Yankees up 6-4 now, and Jeter up for the 4th time. And he's on base again. A perfect night at the plate. 2 hits, 2 walks. He scored twice.
It's almost like he knows how to perform at every at-bat. A single in his first at-bat on the first pitch, trying to jump on the rookie starter Dunsing. Second time up, looking to hit an extra base hit, trying to get the Yankees back in the game with a 2-run deficit, hits a 2-run home run. And these last 2 times, he's led off the innings and trying to not work a walk, but trying to get on base, and has done it both times.
We talked about Johnny Damon, a big-time pull hitter in this park. That pitch showed you what was on his mind here in the 7th inning. No balls and a strike. Very big crowd, as you'd expect, here in New York for Game 1. The Twins had over 54,000 in their home park last night. And Major League Baseball today announced that its 30 clubs combined to produce the 5th largest combined attendance in history. Pretty remarkable when you consider the state of the nation's economy. The Phillies and Red Sox with record-setting attendance years, each drawing over 3 million fans. The Phillies 3.6 million at Citizens Bank Park. The Dodgers 3.7 million fans. With Manny Ramirez, 9 teams drew more than 3 million. Yankees, as you'd expect, 7 straight years they've led the American League in attendance, over 3.7 million fans at new Yankee Stadium. And yes, there has been an attendance decrease from last year, around 5%, but baseball says that accounts for the reduced capacities of the two ballparks here in New York. Citi Field, the home of the Mets, and here at Yankee Stadium. That's off the glove of Kadire, and it will trickle into shallow right field, and Damon's aboard. So the trouble for Liriano continues here in the 7th inning. 2 men are on with nobody out.
Well, Kadire robbed Damon in his last at bat, and on this backhand play, a play that Michael Kadire would, I believe, has to make that play. And that'll be an E3 on Kadire, his first error since taking over from Mano at first base.
That was the most remarkable part of Kadire's year. You know the offense was going to be there, but he grabbed the first baseman's mitt and had no trouble until tonight in game 1. 2 on, nobody out for Teixeira. Mark is 0 for 3, reached on a force play in inning number 3. How long's Liriano go for Minnesota?
I think he goes as long as he can go. You want him to try to finish this ball game to save your bullpen. There's his work cut out for him here, trying to get through the 7th.
Going outside, ball 2. Mark Teixeira loved hitting against Minnesota pitching in the regular season. .438 was his batting average. And 4 home runs, including this one on July 9th.
Well, I think one of the things that Teixeira loves is he loves pitchers that throw the ball around the strike zone. And you know these Minnesota pitchers won't walk you, they'll come right after you. And long home run there for Teixeira, who had 39 on the season. Tied for first in the American League with Carlos Pena.
Cardinals and Dodgers follow us. Game 1 of the National League Division Series from Dodger Stadium. Phillies beat the Rockies in Game 1 in Philadelphia earlier this afternoon. Here it's 6-2, Yankees in front. And that one fouled off Teixeira's foot. And we will do it again with a full count.
Well, if you get behind these Yankee hitters, as Liriano has done, first the foul ball off the front of the toe of Teixeira. This offense, from top to bottom, everyone can hit the ball out of the ballpark. They'll bludgeon you at some point. And they're looking to add on runs right here.
Yankees 244 home runs, scored 915 runs as a team this year. That too led the American League. They have the second highest batting average at 283 as a team. They walk a lot, 4th best ERA. And that one hit about 17 miles foul. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Hot shot to third. Second base 1, first base 2. Teixeira's hit the ball on the button twice in this game and has nothing to show for it. Runner to third, Derek Jeter, but now with 2 outs and Alex Rodriguez the hitter.
Ball hit sharply. Nice play here by Tolbert. Accurate throw, and Puto just stays in there all the time and makes an accurate throw for the double play.
So Ron Gardenhire will take the ball from Mr. Liriano here in the 7th inning. And that's Big John Roush at 6'11" coming in the Yankee 7th. Header again tomorrow. Ernie and the boys at 2 o'clock have MLB on deck for you. Then it's the Rockies and Phillies. Game 2 from Citizens Bank Park. Same story, Cardinals and Dodgers. That at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Ron and I will have the night off, as will the Twins and Yankees, for the Red Sox and Angels. Don Orsillo and Buck Martinez out in Anaheim. We'll have the first game of that American League Division Series at 9:30 Eastern Time.
You know, when Alex came off the DL from the hip surgery, the Yankees and Joe Girardi were so happy to have him back. As John Roush comes to the mound, they acquired him from Arizona on August 28th. They're so happy to have him come back that they played him every day, and they found that they had to give him some days off. And they had a day off on August 20th. And since that day off, I know it's a regular season, but he's 20 for 35 with 4 home runs and 18 RBIs. So they have rested him well coming into this postseason. And maybe that had something to do with him getting off the schneid there in the 5th inning with an RBI single.
And it's not just Alex Rodriguez that Joe Girardi's done that for. He's done the same thing with Jorge Posada. Coming back from the shoulder surgery of a year ago. And a line drive, smoke to right field and deep. That one is off the fence. Jeter scores. It's a long single for A-Rod, and all of a sudden, baseball, Alex Rodriguez is driving the ball with big-time authority. It's 7-2 New York.
Well, the biggest part of this game, other than CC Sabathia's pitching, will be the emergence of A-Rod and his ability to drive in runs here in this game. His first one back. That's going to allow him to relax. It's going to allow the entire team to relax. They don't have to answer questions why A-Rod isn't driving in runs. He doesn't have to answer any questions about driving in runs. They're going to be very dangerous as they move along.
Yeah, he can do what he does so well, just play the game. And tonight, 2 for 4 is Rodriguez, with a couple of RBI singles. So 7-2 Yankees in command of Game 1. Game 2 here Friday will be A.J. Burnett for New York, Nick Blackburn for the Minnesota Twins. Now, while this one not over, the Yankees smiling at the way things have gone so far tonight. One ball, no strikes.
Matsui did not greet Liriano very kindly for this long drive to center field. That really was the clutch hit that kind of put this game not out of reach, but got them to a point where they've got a 5-run lead now.
Liriano allows a couple of runs in 2 innings of work. And now Roush will try to get the final out of this Yankees 7th. Last 5 runs they've scored in this game have come with 2 outs. And a hit to A-Rod and a walk to Matsui from John Roush. Not what Ron Gartenhire had in mind. 5th walk issued by Minnesota pitching in this game.
And before this game we talked about that's one of the things that they do well is not walk people, hurt themselves, and they have not done that tonight.
Excuse me, 3rd walk they've issued in this game.
Still, they're averaging under 3 walks per game. They walked 6 last night, but that was in 12 innings.
So Dunsing 1, Liriano 1, Roush 1. 1 + 1 + 1 still is 3, right?
You got it.
Okay, thank you. 2 on, 2 out. Here's Posada. 1 for 3 is he at the plate. He's lined out, struck out, and he has singled. 7-2 Yankees.
Another thing that Joe Girardi's teams when he was a player is what his teams now as a manager are doing. Even late in games with a 5-run lead, this lineup just is relentless. They will just work the count, make you throw a lot of pitches, not go out of the strike zone.
Piece of debris apparently got loose in center, and Denard Span cleans that up. Now he mans his spot in center field. Ball 2. Roush can't throw strikes.
Sada should get a good pitch to hit here.
2 balls, no strikes, runners aboard with 2 out. And he got a pitch to hit, and he ripped it to second. Pucho to throw to first. And we head to the 8th inning. Yankees by 5 in game 1.
We weren't born to follow. Come on and get up off your knees.
Coming up for Minnesota. And let's see what Phil Hughes has in store in this first full inning of work for him. There is, however, activity should help be needed in the Yankee bullpen.
Phil Koch has been up for a while, but Java Chamberlain now getting loose in that Yankee bullpen. He had one relief appearance at the end of the year. Only took him 7 pitches to get through an inning against Tampa Bay.
And that story has been a subject of endless debate here in New York. Should Jabba Chamberlain start? Should Jabba Chamberlain pitch out of the bullpen? Are the Jabba rules helping him? Are they hurting him? Yankees very concerned about the innings workload for Jabba Chamberlain, who did not have many innings in the minor leagues before coming up to the big league club. And Mauer fouls it straight back.
Well, if you think about it, we watched last night Mr. Porcello pitch for Detroit, and he pitched awfully well. And the Detroit Tigers had him on a restriction. They gave him a couple of weeks off around the All-Star break to try to rejuvenate himself, and he pitched so beautifully last night. He only pitched 165 innings going into last night's start and 30 starts. So they had restricted him, just did not get the publicity, of course, that Jabba got here.
And Porcello had a 16-day break right around the All-Star break for the Detroit Tigers. If they had a rainout, they'd give him an extra day here and there to settle into rotation. What the Yankees tried to do with Chamberlain was break him down almost in the middle of the season, put him on a spring training kind of schedule, let him start the game. He may not factor in the decision. And Jabba didn't pitch particularly well that way, and as a result is out of the bullpen in the first round of the playoffs.
Well, I think the thing you always have to keep in mind is that there would be no one in the Yankee dugout or the Yankee brass would ever want to do anything to hurt this young man. They're only trying to do something to prolong his career and make sure that he kind of gets the innings as he goes along. I think the one thing, though, you can tend to overlook a little bit about the athlete is that they were built to be challenged. Now, who decides how much to challenge the athlete? You know, I think you've been built since you're a young person that sometimes you challenge these young men and they will leaps and bounds start to exponentially get better and better. But that is not the way of the game today, and you have a lot more people involved. In my day, which was only 20, 30 years ago, there was a lot more pitching when maybe you should be taking some time off. So
Mauer fouls it back, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody knows if Jabba Chamberlain's going to break down. Nobody knows if he's going to win 300 games and go to the Hall of Fame.
Well, the one thing you take from it is, if you think about it, let's take a great pitcher like Nolan Ryan or Tom Seaver or Bob Gibson, and if you put them on that same plan, maybe you'd never reveal how great they could be. You take away all those complete games, you take away all those shutouts if you put them on a restricted plan. Now, that being said,
as Mauer smokes that ball into center field, a base hit. He's 2 for 4 in the game. Good start for the Twins in the 8th. They need a bunch of base runners and a big shot here, down 7-2.
Well, Mauer, by the way, seems to get 2 hits every time he starts, at least. Well, just to get back there and maybe button it down a little bit. It's just, I think in today's game, they feel like they really have a handle on these young people and trying to make sure that they lengthen their career. There's also a lot of money involved, with these young guys and making sure that, they maximize their investment. But at the same time, maybe you're not getting what you can earlier in the career, because who can predict how long your career is going to be?
You can't. But there are those who say of Jabba Chamberlain, when he comes in out of that bullpen, snorting and spitting and throwing 98 miles an hour, his stuff is dramatically different than it is as a starting pitcher.
His Goose Gossage leg.
Yeah. And that's off the plate to Kadire. 1 ball, 1 strike. So at least for the first round, Chamberlain's in the pen. We'll see if the Yankees advance, if Jabba becomes one of Joe Girardi's starters in the next round of the American League playoffs. Don't know. They haven't gotten there yet. That's the first thing Joe would tell you. Hughes all of a sudden having a little trouble. Got the big out of Cabrera. Struck him out in the 7th with 2 men on. Now a base hit to Mauer. Falls behind Kadire. 2 balls and a strike.
This is always the toughest thing for these young men that come out of the pen, and they need to come in and get a strikeout, and they get it, and they have all the adrenaline going. Then they have to go sit on the bench, and it was a long inning. You had to wait for 15, 20 minutes, and sometimes they lose some of that edge.
Now back to even the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Right on by. Second strikeout for Philip Hughes as we rejoin Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. Okay, Ernie, thank you very much. And Philip Hughes will be greeted by Joe Girardi in the center of the infield at Yankee Stadium. He'll get a big cheer and has had a fine season out of the bullpen for New York. Runner at first, 1 out. Yankees into the bullpen. Of the night is on for the Yankees. It's left-hander Philip Koch. You'll see his numbers flash across your screen in a moment. And Koch, very busy in regular season play, 72 appearances. And very effective here in New York. He was 4-1 with a .297 earned run average at New Yankee Stadium. Winless with an earned run average approaching 7 runs per game on the road. So Koch will face Kubel, runner aboard, 1 out in a 7-2 Yankee game. And this is that bullpen depth of which Joe Girardi was speaking, Ron, not only before the start of this series, but about halfway through this season. That's one thing he really liked about his club. And about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, intimated that this was the direction New York was going to go because of the power arms they've been able to accumulate down there.
It's also nice to have a 5-run lead to be able to bring these guys in and get them a little experience here early in the division.
Liner to first, Teixeira, fine play. And good base running by Mauer not to get doubled off. That ball was a seed. And Mark Teixeira with a rocket handles it at first base.
Oh, this is what Jason Kubel's been doing ever since he took over in right field, just hitting bullets, but right at Teixeira, and great running by Mauer.
Koch may not even have to shower. 1 pitch, 1 out. And he's out of the game. And the Yankees again in the pen. And here comes Jabba.
division series against Cleveland. And watching him throw between innings, I'm telling you, he's throwing 100 miles an hour. I don't know if he's going to throw a strike, but he was throwing awfully hard. As a starter, they had him around 91, 93. And in that Tampa Bay game, that first relief appearance, throwing 95, 96.
And I think it's safe to say Jaba's going to enjoy his second taste of postseason play a lot better than he did his first. That was the infamous 2-1 11-inning Game 2 loss to the Indians, forevermore known as the Bug Game in Cleveland. Ground ball slowly hit by Delman Young to Derek Jeter, and Jaba Chamberlain needs 2 pitches. Wow, Koch and Chamberlain need 3 pitches to get 2 outs, and they send this game to the bottom of the 8th inning. On for the bottom of the 8th inning. You heard Ernie Johnson a few moments ago. This game running long tonight, so the start of the Cardinals-Dodgers game will begin over on our sister station TNT. As soon as this one wraps up, they'll be switched back to TBS for the start of proceedings way out west. I got to ask you, the Cardinals with that great pitching trio of Wainwright and Carpenter and Pinheiro, and the offense of Matt Holliday and Albert Pujols taking on Manny Ramirez, and the Dodgers have really had to work hard to fight off the Colorado Rockies down the stretch. Who do you like in that series out west?
Well, that's a real hard call because, you know, it's opening up in Los Angeles. I think that's going to help, of course, the Dodgers, who just had a lot of people go through their park this year with Manny Wood and the whole thing.
Sure.
It depends on how well Manny hits and how many runs he drives in. I think is one of the keys. I think also the emergence of Ethier and some of the younger players. Matt Kemp has had quite a year. How they play in the postseason is going to be a big key. But good pitching always stops good hitting. And if Carpenter, nice play here by Mayhay on Cano, if Carpenter and Wainwright and Pinheiro pitched the way they pitched all season long, it's going to be very hard, I think, for the Dodgers to get through the Cardinals. Plus, Billingsley was their best pitcher in the first half by far.
Right.
And he's had some injuries. He didn't finish strong. Clayton Kershaw, is he ready at 22 years old, I believe, to be a guy who can take the antlers and go and be that guy that just has an amazing postseason?
Well, he looked fantastic against Colorado on Saturday, I believe it was, out in Los Angeles. And looked like he was ready to take the next step. And he was coming back from a real freak injury for that Dodger ball club. Like Mariano Rivera does with the Yankees, he loves to shag fly balls in the outfield. And Kershaw, a left-handed pitcher, slammed up against the wall and injured his right shoulder and couldn't pitch for several weeks.
The key to shagging for any pitchers, once you get to the warning track, stop. You don't need to be near any walls.
Well, he's a young guy. He hasn't learned that yet, quite obviously. But like Rick Porcello of the Tigers, perhaps that rest may be a blessing in disguise for Los Angeles, because Kershaw looked very, very fresh in that clinching game against Colorado in Los Angeles. So again, Cardinals, Dodgers, starting things off out west. Dick Stockton and Bob Brenly will have the call for you. It'll start over on TNT, and then they'll bring you back to TBS once this Yankees-Twins division series opener wraps up. High fly ball, Swisher to left, but it's playable. And 2 are down. Swisher had a big hit in this game. His double in the 4th inning put New York in front. He's had a good night. 2 outs.
Swisher shaking his head. He knew he got a pitch to hit there and missed it. He hasn't missed many this year. Got an 8th place hitter with 29 home runs and 82 RBIs. You're in pretty good shape.
The official attendance for Game 1, first playoff game at New Yankee Stadium, 49,464. And they will all be able to say, I was there the night Melky Cabrera went 1 for 3 in his first 3 at-bats.
Well, Melky is one of the heroes of this team. He has been so clutch, and also during the season had seemingly lost his job out of spring training to Brett Gardner, who played so well and brings a lot of speed to this Yankee lineup. Will probably do a lot more defensive replacement and pinch running for the Yankees in this series. But when he went out, when he hurt his thumb, Brett Gardner, Melky came on and played fantastic.
Good pitch from Ron Mayhay. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Another triple header tomorrow. The finale of that triple-header will feature the Red Sox and the Angels. They'll play Game 1 of their series out in Anaheim. And Ron and I will be back with you here in New York on Friday night for Game 2. That'll be A.J. Burnett, a very big start for him. His first Yankee playoff assignment, and Nick Blackburn for Minnesota.
Well, A.J. Burnett has all the stuff to really dominate a lineup, but it's going to be his first postseason start. I'm sure hanging out with guys like Andy Pettitte with all his experience can only help.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, nothing wrong with the way that the game started. And this playoff run for the Yankees started behind C.C. Sabathia. Everything the Yankees hoped he would be. 8 strikeouts, no walks, 1 earned run in 6 innings and 2/3. Then the trio of Hughes, Koch, and Chamberlain have kept the Twins subdued. And we will go to the top half of the 9th inning. 7-2. Yankees lead it after 8. CBS has been presented by BlackBerry. The Minnesota Twins are down to their final 3 outs as we go to the 9th inning. Yankees lead at 7-2. And not an enviable task trying to get anything going against Mariano Rivera.
Well, this is the luxury you have of having a day off tomorrow. If you're playing tomorrow, you would never use Rivera here because you think you might have to use him the next day. So he gets to get some work in. You see his saves and save opportunities in his postseason career. 34, 39, 44 saves this season.
And Brendan Harris, the first man to greet him. Then it's Tolbert, Punto, Span, Cabrera, Maurer. Those are the 6 next in line on the lineup card against Mariano Rivera. No runs allowed in the last 29 innings and a third at home in postseason play. And a fly ball slicing down the right field line. Not much foul ground down there, and Harris never ran.
Boy, that is not a good play by Brendan Harris. You always want to run those out. You never know, especially with these swirling winds. To tell you how long and storied a career Rivera has had, as we watch this off the bat, it's definitely foul, but not foul by enough not to run. He made 10 starts for this Yankee team in 1995. I was still playing. That tells you how long and great his career has been.
And Harris down on strikes. 526 saves for Mariano Rivera, according to the Yankees guide.
Got his 500th save this season.
And this season, 44 of them at a microscopic 1.76 earned run average. Here's Tolbert.
Just amazing numbers. 72 strikeouts, 12 walks.
And as a hitter, you know what's coming. His bread and butter pitch, that cut fastball.
Well, but he repeats his motion. He can cut it, 6-7 inches and then throw a straighter one at 3-4 inches. He just has the ability to add and subtract the break on that cutter. He also can throw it inside and outside. So when you're a left-handed hitter and you become very conscious of that ball in, he can take a shot on the outside corner. And he'll occasionally sink it on that outside corner too. But it's what's inside that has separated him from any closer, in my opinion, that's ever pitched.
2 balls and a strike to Matt Tolbert, who was hit by a pitch in the 7th inning last time up.
Early in his career in the bullpen, he grabbed the baseball and was throwing it, and it was moving so much that the catchers were having a hard time catching it. And he's working with Mel Stottlemyre and saying, boy, how can I throw the ball straighter, which no pitcher ever wants to do. You want the ball to move. But he was having trouble keeping it in the strike zone. But finally got to a point where when I watch him, I'm envious because of someone who did this 100 years ago. He's able to repeat his motion time and time again, and that's the ability to relax under pressure. Very few can do that.
Off the thumbs of Matt Tolbert. And you, Ronnie, know as well as anybody, the way the game is managed in many instances in this modern era is not from the first inning forward, but the 9th inning backwards. And there's no greater security blanket for a manager than Mariano Rivera.
Well, it's an 8-inning game for the Yankees for his long and storied career because he's been that good. But what separates him from all the other closers is what he's done in the postseason. He's gotten the chances, but you have to make the most of those chances, and he's done that. What he's lost in speed, he's probably not 95, 96 anymore. He's gained by his control is better than it's ever been.
And according to the Yankee guide, postseason totals, They'll be added to as Tolbert takes a called third strike. Mariano Rivera in 76 games, not counting tonight, in the postseason. 8 wins, 1 loss, and 0.77 earned run average. And 16 walks in 118 innings now.
You make the left-handed hitter conscious of in, and then you have the ability to throw a ball right down the middle of the plate, starting on the outside corner, because there's no way they can hit it.
Nick Punto, the final Minnesota hope. 7-2 New York. A.J. Burnett pitches game 2. Andy Pettitte game 3 in Minnesota. Twins hoping to take 1 game at least in this series in New York and take home field advantage right back away from a Yankee club that won 103 regular season games, 57 of them in their new home park. Two and two. Just missed the outside corner. And the umpires in the crowd. We'll see Mariano Rivera throw another pitch. And it's bounced foul down the third base line. And the ball game continues as Nick Punto coaxes a 2-out walk. That's rare in and of itself. Mariano Rivera actually threw ball 4. And Joe Girardi wants to salt this one away in front of game 2 Friday night. Nick Blackburn, A.J. Burnett, both of whom make their first career postseason start Friday night at 6 o'clock.
And I believe there'll be more pressure, of course, on Nick Blackburn. They're going to need a really good effort from him, and he's been giving it to them all month. He's had a great September and October.
Denard Span looks at a ball inside. You know, he'd like to prolong the inning for Orlando Cabrera. Again, Cabrera has faced the Yankees in Division Series play back in 2005. He'd love another crack at him in the ninth tonight. And a base hit into center field is going to put Twins runners at first and third, and that indeed is the case. And now things getting a little more interesting with Cabrera than Mauer lurking in this ninth inning.
Well, this ball a little up in the strike zone. Didn't get it in as much as he usually does. You'll see him start that ball on the corner and move it off the plate. Nice hitting by Span for the second hit.
Did you ever close?
Did I ever close? I closed once, but not for a save. Closed the last pitch was at 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. Down in Atlanta. That's firework game with the Mets and Braves. Here's Cabrera. Runner at first goes. Why not? Ball 1 outside. I know you've talked to closers a lot. Why is this situation so difficult for them to close out when it's not a save situation?
Well, they have this adrenaline tank, and when they are in there for the save, it is topped off. But when they're not, sometimes they're at about 75%. It's not that they're trying at 75%. It's just They are adrenaline junkies almost. They got to have it to perform at the top of their game. Now you're getting into a point now, even with the day off, you certainly don't want Mariano to go out there and throw 35, 40 pitches. He's at 21 right now, so that's a thing for Joe to think about with Dave Island, the pitching coach. Only 21, but I wouldn't want him to go over 30. Another base hit, and now you start thinking to get someone else up.
Two balls, no strikes. Line foul and out of play. Again, I'm sure the media will ask Joe Girardi why you bring Rivera in this game. But if you consider the historical magnitude of what this ball game means to this franchise and this stadium, you can understand having Rivera maybe pitch the final inning in the first ever playoff game here. Don't know if that's the case. We'll find out afterwards. Bouncing ball hit out towards second. That should do it. Yankees win it. 7-2 your final score. Mariano Rivera gets the final 3 outs. But Derek Jeter had a monster game offensively for New York. He scored 3 times, hit a 2-run homer, and the glass slipper was broken by the New York Yankees in Game 1 in their new ballpark.
Well, you couldn't ask for any more, could you? CC Sabathia with the win. Mariano Rivera pitching the 9th inning and getting home runs from Jeter and Matsui, and 2 RBIs from Alex Rodriguez.
So the Yankees win Game 1 over the Minnesota Twins. A day of rest for both of these ball clubs. And